Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling. I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda.
My cat won't leave. I can't get him out from under the chair. There's a big chair in here.
I'm right on the poll.
He won't leave. How do I get him out?
I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind.
How do I do it?
That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring. Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh boy, my favorite show. Boring. We need to be mad. We need to be angry. We're thinking too much around here, guys. How dare you? That is so cool. That is so fun. Oh my god, dude. That's so big, dude. We gotta have a better ground game to overpower the corporate media structure and the propaganda. I'm right on the polling.
All online leftists have cats. Well, that would make sense if I was a leftist. Psh.
I'm right on that. That's undisputed in my mind. That's undisputed in my mind. Politics is more complicated than that. Waging political capital in an effective way. Boring.
What's up? How is everybody doing on this fine New Year's Eve? Happy New Year. 2022, baby. 2022. We're back. A whole new year, whole new day. Christmas was awesome a couple days ago. I got a new teddy bear. It's awesome.
Politics is more complicated than that. That is so cool. That is so fun.
What do I consider myself? I'm nothing. Nothing. I have no ideology. I'm just right on everything. I'm right on every issue. That's the only thing I need to know. So here's the deal. I don't care about socialism. I don't care about capitalism. I don't care about any of these systems. I'm not married to anything. I don't care. I don't identify as either. Labels are annoying. I hate labels so much. Why is she trending right now? Wait, this is not the...
Rabbi, let's talk about Joshua Stanton, who is a senior fellow at the National Jewish Center for Leadership, Learning and Leadership.
What does she do? Did she compare masks to the Holocaust? There's no way. Where? I didn't see this yet. Did it happen recently?
Ill. You know, this woman is mentally ill. You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear
Yes, Nancy Pelosi is the person who is mentally ill.
a gold star. Back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star, and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about. Well, let's talk about
see this
Queen
yet.
of the House of Hypocrites. This woman is
impressive.
mentally ill. You know,
The white supremacist queen comes out and compares masks to the Holocaust. She probably knows a lot about the Holocaust because she probably studied it. She probably studies it every night when she reads Mein Kampf. Each cat you own increases the size of your brain by 5 inches in every direction. Yeah, it makes it smoother, right? So sock them? No, I'm not even a sock them. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You know, if I'm a sock dem, does that matter if I'm running for something in rural PA? No, it doesn't. Nobody cares about these labels in real life. I'm a working class rural Democrat. There you go. That's my label. Working class rural Democrat. I'm a centrist. Thank you so much for the super chat, Church of Shulkinism. YouTube VOD title: Jolah owns Destiny and Vaush in an insane takedown video featuring Marjorie Taylor Greene. Rural crat, sure. All right, I didn't see this yet, so Vaush decided to fully cut off communications with Destiny, and I decided to hop on stream and sort of, I guess, react to it. Reaction. Let's do a reaction.
We're completely done engaging with Destiny. This isn't some, like, pithy back and forth. I've said that before, but we're committing to it this time. In fact, I'm committing to it so hard that from now on, discussion of Destiny is banned, both in the Reddit and in the Discord, which should significantly improve the quality of both of those social spaces.
I'm not buying it. Didn't he say this before? He's not going to ever talk to Destiny again. Then he did, like a couple months later. I'm not buying it, dude. But to be honest, if Vaush did carry through with this, do you know how mad that would make Destiny? The way to make him mad is just to not even talk to him. That would make him so much more aggravated than anything else, I think. You know, it'll hurt him at like a deep level. Not like, you know, getting mad at lefties, but that'll hurt him at like a deep level, dude.
By the way. I'm sure that he and his community will throw a fit about this being some sort of cowardice or whatever, but man, because I have no intention of continuing to talk about this for like the next 5 years, let's just say it all right now, okay? Look, okay, first of all, if you're like a DGG or you like Destiny, it's totally fine. We're not kicking anyone out of the community because we're not Destiny, who banned tens of thousands of people from his community and Reddit once the lefty arc began. The problem is, look, Destiny's a real...
Did Destiny really do this? Did he really ban people, and does he really ban people from his Reddit if they disagree with him? I know he says if somebody comes up with something really dumb or, you know, a troll, he bans them. But does he ban honest criticism that he doesn't like? Because I hear this a lot from Vaush's community. Who do I like more, Destiny or Vaush? I don't really care. I think they're both good at different things. I think Vaush is better at rhetoric. If I had to have a politician out of one of them, I'd probably choose Vaush because he can give a good speech and speak really well. He's really good at social issues, sociology. He explains things well. Although I think Vaush needs to be less condescending in the way he speaks. If he talks to a regular voter, I think he might come off a little bit pretentious in some ways. He's a little too wordy. And Destiny is good at a lot of other stuff as well. So I don't really have a favorite. I don't care.
Smart guy. There's really no getting around that. But this latest Lefty arc, in my opinion, has left him two things. One, it's left him really emotional.
Like
and
Destiny
two,
can have a really good conversation with a lot of people. And he's good at like policy stuff, like ripping through stuff really quickly. But sadly, nobody's perfect. And, either of them can be good or bad in different moments.
Has left him two things. One, it's left him really emotional. And two, it's meant that he is so uncharitable with lefties in general, but also specifically with
He banned
me,
every
that
socialist?
I feel like he's kind of a troll at this point, a little bit. There's so much stuff that he's done. It's actually hard to like remember all of it. There's so much stuff that it's actually like really, really hard to take him seriously
Tom?
after it. Like when Demon Mama was on Twitter saying that she got raided by a bunch of 4chaners telling her to kill herself, and Destiny accused her of faking it and making the post on poll herself. Like, just lying. But, like,
Among Us.
normally he's, like, super, super hard on the lying online, but he just, like, did it. And then accusing the serfs of funneling money into, to Hamas, which was, like, again, like, really weird and psychotic, and encouraging people to hack my website after the Rittenhouse stuff, which, again, he never apologized for or even acknowledged. Probably because in that case, we do a little trolling here, like, led him to say stuff that is a crime. I'm pretty sure that's a crime to tell other, like, your followers to hack somebody's website. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. But, like, he never even acknowledged that. So, like, remember after the
That's
Rittenhouse
pretty crappy,
stuff,
huh?
Xander Hall came on for a conversation, with Destiny, I mean. And Destiny kept playing up this, like, I can't believe Vaush would do this.
Oh,
I
I
thought
remember
we were
this.
friends type thing.
Oh, 100% Destiny was lying about this because I've seen him when he said, "Oh, Vaush and I, we considered each other good friends." 100% he was trying to go for like emotional appeal right there. If you watch Destiny somewhat regularly, whenever he talks about who he considers friends, he keeps that circle really limited, especially with people online. Like Mr. Mooten and Dan are two people he considers actual online friends. He would never consider somebody who he has this contact with, as much as he did with Vaush. He would never consider that person a friend. Considered to every, or if you consider every time Destiny ever talked about it, on stream, who he actually considers friends and whatever from people he knows online. That was definitely an appeal to like, oh, we were friends and he did this to me.
Does anyone remember that?
Like, I feel like I've gone out of my way like so much for somebody like this that if that's the defense, like, well, I didn't tell them to do it. Well, that's great, but I just don't care about you as a person.
I also do understand why Destiny would be upset in a lot of ways. In many different ways, he did help Vaush become like a really big person online. He did platform him a lot. At the early stages, he had a lot of engagement with him. So I'd be kind of, I can understand why Destiny was upset that Vaush sort of like watched it happen, I guess, when they clipped it and sort of got Destiny deplatformed and everything. I could understand him being upset about that. But again, the Rittenhouse stuff. Saying that in general, as a public figure, I mean, you have to expect what's going to happen.
Person. Like, that's cool. Like, maybe we exist in the same space. Maybe we'll even talk again in the future someday. But no way would I ever call somebody like that my friend. Like, not even close.
Okay, I mean,
like if I was at the point where like my girlfriend and my head mod were getting like 10,000 likes trying to cancel like a person that I considered my friend online, like I don't even know what I'd do. I'd either dump my girlfriend and fire them.
The friend thing, like I said, is dumb. That's not even
or I would lose my mind. Like I could never imagine doing that to somebody that I would consider my friend. That's just insane to me. That's unbelievable. That's unconscionable that I would ever do that to another person or be involved in that manner.
I never actually saw the full convo. I just saw a couple clips of it. But does anyone
Destiny might be losing it. I think he's been on God tier for too long. That's the thing too. I get disappointed with him because I do think he's really talented. So when he is all like, you know, I refuse to stop being a edgy 13-year-old on Twitter when he does that stuff. I get really upset, you know, because I feel like he can be a really positive force for good in the online arena. But like it gets, you know, weighed down because of the other antics that he refuses to stop doing. I guess, is it a brand thing? Is it just who he is? I don't know, but make sure you drop likes on the stream, by the way. Thank you.
Another person or be involved in that manner.
I never actually saw the full convo. I just saw a couple clips of it. But does anyone here remember that? The like, yeah, we were friends. I just didn't think.
Lie. There's no way Vaush did
Contra
not
will
watch
ever
that
do that to another
conversation.
person or
I
be
don't
involved
believe
in
him.
that manner.
I never actually saw the full convo. I just saw
That
a couple
Sanderhall
clips
Destiny
of it. Does
conversation.
anyone here remember that? The like, yeah, we were friends. I just didn't think. I have never been friends with Destiny. We have never had a friendly, no conversation we have ever had has ever extended beyond disagreeing over something. And I think he wished me a happy birthday like 4 years ago, but it was like really weird. Like he knew I wasn't there to point out to Zan that we've never been friends, so he was doing this like manipulator tactic thing. Yeah.
Tom, I don't care what the issue is. I don't care what your position on any issue is. I don't care what it is. If you word something like that during a live stream, and also, although, yeah, it is 12 hours a day that he streams, but if you word something like that, I mean, you gotta just not do that. Don't you agree? You have
It
to
was
expect
like
it's gonna get
really
clipped.
strange, you know?
And that's one thing too. Like the argument Destiny was making about Rittenhouse, you know, the pure argument, the inflammatory rhetoric actually made it harder. It made it a lot harder for him to win debates on it. If he would have went back down to the logic, he would have helped. You know, he would have had an easier time like debating people on the Rittenhouse stuff. But he couldn't let go of the yelling, of the hyperbole, of all this stuff. And that you know that really hurt his rhetorical effectiveness.
And then I remember he's done that before too. Like after the Rittenhouse stuff, when Lumi, there was a clip of Lumi Rue like laughing a little bit after like something had happened, like Destiny had gotten banned or something like that, and Lumi laughed in a clip, and then Destiny like freaked out about it and said like, "Well, I anonymously donated $1,000 to Lumi's top surgery," and said it like over and over again, like I did a quiet favor, so like yeah, it was really
Yes, I know it was clipped out of context, but in the world of talking to people, there's no reason you should get to that point during that discussion. You don't need to get to that point. You're actually at a negative at that point when you're talking to somebody. You know, rhetorical effectiveness. I know that was 2020, not 2021, but like you're putting yourself in that position. Although he did get clipped, that outcome, you know, it still came from a really bad habit that he has when he talks to people about these issues.
weird. I mean, and the thing
It's
is,
just
I
not
knew
good,
that if
yeah.
I did any of this, it would be remembered like forever by my community. And he used to have a reputation for his community holding him to account, but it doesn't anymore because he banned all of the people. Every time there's a Reddit thread criticizing him, everyone in the chat and the replies goes 07 because they know that person's going to be banned. I would be interested in seeing what the ban list looks like for Destiny's subreddit because I'd be willing.
No, thanks, because I want to see Vaush's take. I don't really care about the reaction. I want to absorb what Vaush is saying without the because I saw a little bit of Destiny's reaction, and it was just like very short rebuttals, and he just like smirked in the bottom right corner like this is so dumb. Wow. Yeah, sure, Vaush. Yeah, sure. He said yeah, sure like 50 times.
I would be interested in seeing what the ban list looks like for Destiny's subreddit because I'd be willing to bet that it's probably hit like 5 digits at this point. Even like
I would want
well-meaning
proof on
criticism.
this.
Like it used to be the big thing, like his community held him to account. But now criticism just gets banned. So like, does it? I don't think so. I don't get that vibe anymore. And his community, by the way, and I want to be clear, look, there are really good people who watch Destiny. I know.
Does anybody know about what Head Mounted just said? Why Vaush decided to do this right now? What was the final straw here that made Vaush say we're just not going to talk to Destiny ever again? Because I'm not sure what it is. But what was the final straw here? Was it something with the Palestine situation or like what?
His community, by the way, and I want to be clear, look, there are really good
Destiny
people who
called him an
watch Destiny.
anti-Semite?
I know I'm friends with a lot of people who like Destiny. I'm really not trying to impugn everyone here.
Didn't he
but
walk that back though?
his community, insane. There were people in there posting like unironic, like pro IDF I'm pretty sure Destiny even like downplayed the severity of what Israel was doing in the past couple days, saying that it was just like landlord disputes over which they had a legal right. His community, this is not a joke, by the way. His community has decided, at least some portions of it on the Reddit, not the whole thing, that the Glass Israel thing was reflective of my actual beliefs. Do you know how many times Destiny has threatened to bomb something? Destiny has threatened to bomb ISP offices. Destiny has threatened to bomb and kill so many people and individuals. And because I'm not insane, I recognize what hyperbolic language looks like. But, like, imagine if I, like, got up here and I was like, yeah, Destiny should be banned from Twitch because he's a threat, because he threatened to bomb an ISP one time.
Okay, wait. On this point here, on the anti-Semitic claims. So, Vaush was, I think, 26 hours into his charity stream, and they brought up the video of David Pakman, because somebody said to David Pakman during a stream when Vaush was still on, "Hey, David, are you gonna shout out Vaush's charity stream, right?" And then David said, "Oh no, wait, the PCRF, the the Palestinian Children Relief Fund or whatever. Oh yeah, no, that charity is really bad. The Holy Land Foundation tried donating to them." Pac-Man was very irresponsible with that. I was really disappointed that he would say something like that, so off the cuff, like not even verifying anything or whatever. But yeah, Pac-Man has always been very sympathetic for like Israel, and all that stuff. But off that clip, Vaush called Pac-Man a Zionist, which Vaush later walked back. But Destiny retweeted the clip of Vaush calling Pac-Man a Zionist and said, "Hey, Vaush, calling him a Zionist is actually anti-Semitic or whatever." Destiny said like, "Oh, the anti-Semitism coming out," and then later Destiny walked that back. It wasn't anti-Semitic, but it could be perceived as anti-Semitic. I'm pretty sure that's what Destiny ended up saying.
Well, it'd look kind of crazy, right? Because yeah, but there were people in his community who were obviously clearly of the belief that like that was reflective. No, I know. I actually saw this. This was the top response in a Reddit post, by the way. This was the top response, not like some little downvoted thing. I had a conversation with Dylan Burns a couple of weeks ago about the Israel-Palestine thing, remember? And it was a good conversation, too. It was a good conversation. I like Dylan Burns a lot. I have a lot of respect for the guy. And afterwards...
And that charity that Pac-Man, like, disavowed on stream is a pretty... Isn't that a really highly rated and highly favored charity? Isn't that, like, a really clean thing? That's one of the go-tos, actually, if you want to help Palestinian children.
I like Dylan Burns a lot. I have a lot of respect for the guy. And afterwards, there was some Reddit thread in Destiny's Reddit that got posted about it. And the headline was, look, Vaush had a talk with Dylan Burns. And you know what the top reply was? I'm serious. The top reply was, it was boring. Vaush had his mask on the whole time. And when that's the point you've reached with a community, what the...
I don't know. All 5 comments, 25 upvotes, 25 points right here. I don't know if you can really use that for the entire community. I mean, a lot of DGG, a lot of them are very uncharitable towards me and they hate me now, so...
is even the point of trying to talk with them? Not to mention Destiny calling me an anti-Semite the other day, then walking it back. I noticed
right here. Yum yum. We're getting closer to that old leftist anti-Semitism. The horseshoe materializes further. I was really praising Destiny a couple months ago as a political pragmatist, but like even in my discussion with him, when he brings up ideologies, or like he brings up Twitter and Brianna Joy Gray and fascism and communism and all that stuff, he is also infected with the online discourse. Like he's also very online and very, very infected with that. All of his takes are poisoned by the media he consumes. So like, I don't know what content creator to go to not get an extremely online perspective. Like Bo, I guess. I don't know. But all these streamers are very, very, very online with all this stuff. Like horseshoe materializes further. You're calling Vaush it's just, I don't know.
Me calling Deepak a Zionist, and then literally 10 seconds later
Surfer,
clarifying
dude.
my statement is walking it back. But Destiny calling me an anti-Semite and then the next day saying on stream that he didn't mean it, he actually meant that what I just said was interpretable as an anti-Semite. That's not walking it back. He clip chimped that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he used to hate clip chimping, but he does it to me all the time. He was like the moment it happened on my stream. No mention of the 37 hours of fundraising.
But even
the
Bo's on
moment
Twitter a
some
lot.
tiny little thing he could find to
But
clip
his
chimp,
takes
he
are
did
very...
it, and then his community was calling me anti-Semite. One of the people in his Reddit said that me saying that Deepak was a Zionist was like, which, by the way, I just think it's inarticulate language, which is why I clarified. But one of them said it was like saying the N-word about a black person.
What?
One of them
That's
said...
dumb. Isn't... Okay, if you call somebody a Zionist, I guess if you call them that just because they're Jewish, and David Pakman is Jewish, right? But if you say it just because they're Jewish, that can be very bad. But if you call someone a Zionist in general, isn't that literally just... You're like a... So like how a white nationalist would be in America, you're a Zionist towards like Israel? Isn't that what that means?
Like this betrays like the
Well,
only
Destiny admits he's fighting for the terminally online left, not all lefties. Sure.
reason I said it is because Deepak is Jewish. What am I supposed to do when a community is this far gone? In terms of like the charitability towards me, Destiny and Destiny's community are at like Kiwi Farms levels. It feels like if I do something and then I go on Kiwi Farms, I could rescue a cat from a burning building, and you go on Kiwi Farms and they'll be like, he just wanted
What
that
is Kiwi
cat.
Farms?
He likes the smell of burning hair or something like that, like some insane. Yeah, like that's what I feel when I look there. And like I do what I do and I talk to the people I talk to in part because it's good for the channel, which isn't really applicable here because this community is not good for my channel.
We don't
Because
have
it's
mods.
good for my ideology,
Surfer dude.
which likewise I don't think that's the case. And most importantly, because it's fun.
Am I
But
streaming
it's
anything after this video? Maybe Jimmy Dore. I don't know.
not fun here at all.
Dedicated
It's
harassment
actually
forum.
really
QB
aggravating
Farms.
to see a community that I was a part of for like a decade lose its mind this hard.
I was saying about like Destiny's community. I really like the people there because they are open to a lot of different debates and different ideologies, and they're policy focused and all that stuff. But sometimes being like a literal logic bro and a debate bro and like a contrarian that doesn't care about like your rejection of falling to, if you don't want to be like a LARPy socialist, your rejection of that can become a new like cult like mentality. So like for me for example, if I literally just based my whole entire image off pragmatism and I literally rejected everything that I didn't agree with, I feel like that would create like a cult-like mentality. That's why I stopped saying pragmatic progressive, because I don't like creating those like subsections or whatever. And I feel like Destiny's community is kind of like getting... I have a clip here. Let me get this clip from a little bit ago, actually.
I haven't even... I'm
can
listing
explain it.
like a billionth of what I can remember. And what I can remember is a billionth of what's actually happened. All of the insane bullshit that's happened in that community that, by the way, Destiny has facilitated. This isn't like his community. Destiny does this. Remember when I talked with him about like Abigail Thorne and Destiny defended the idea that Ben Shapiro wasn't racist? Remember that? He had to argue with his chat after I left. He even said about that famous Ben Shapiro Palestine tweet, Arabs like to live in sewage and bombed out buildings. He even said something like that. I swear to God, I thought this was a fever dream. Destiny
in
said
general,
something
attacking, we need progressives all throughout government. That means even Elizabeth Warren types. That means Andrew Yang types. Any progressive, even people who posture as progressives, are better than people who are openly moderate Dems. We need as many progressives as possible. And it's just the idea that the Force the Vote movement also became the anti-squad movement. We need to get like the equivalence of a really socially awkward. It's like, this is how I feel about a lot of online communities that get that cult-like mentality. If you put yourself around one ideology too much, or if you put yourself around one person too much, this is how I feel like you get when it comes to actual politics. Like the equivalence of a really socially awkward person going to a party. They just don't know what they're doing within this current government system, and they get pissed off when progress takes more than a couple of years. Like, Kyle Kalinske is saying the Justice Democrats were supposed to take over the party. Like, yes, that is the goal. I felt that same disdain for how the current system is when I talked to Destiny. It's another form of idealism. It's not like as bad as the populist forced to vote stuff, but it's another form of it. Like, oh, why are people dumber? Like I don't know.
well, Ben Shapiro's Jewish. Can you imagine there's any reason why he would have said something like that about the Palestinians?
Twitter
Which
isn't
I didn't know
America.
was an excuse for racism. I didn't realize that if a white guy grows up in like Brooklyn, that he gets to like post anti-black race realism on Twitter or whatever. I didn't know that was the logic we were following here, but yeah.
My proudest moment. My proudest moment. Oh, here it is.
People, or most of the people, who
Oh,
respond
come
well
on.
to populism
Give it to me.
in the Democratic
Oh.
Party are going to be voting Bernie, AOC, and
Wait,
all those
no,
people.
I'm at the wrong point. No. Right here.
Literally, like 80 to 90%
Come on.
of Democrats
I
want
want to hear
Medicare
it.
for all.
I want to hear
Like,
it.
what are
Yes,
you talking
90%
about?
want Medicare for all. If you ask a Democrat if you want
Oh,
Medicare
this
for
is so
all, they
hot.
might say
Oh
yeah,
my
sure.
God.
If you ask them if they want a public option, they might say yeah, sure. If you say which one would you
Oh my
prefer,
God.
which one do you prefer, and you need hard support for a policy,
It's
you
coming.
need people demanding a policy for
coming.
your
Oh my
strategy to
God.
work. If you ask which
It's
one do
literally
you
been blowing up all
prefer,
over
So
Twitter.
beautiful.
Which one do you
Everybody wants Medicare for all, dog.
wait, all
It's
over
the middle of a
Twitter.
pandemic,
Twitter
bro.
isn't America.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much.
Just look, at the end of the day, it just seems like everything Destiny does at this point is spite. Destiny used to come down super hard on Israel and be pro-Palestine back when he argued with Lauren Southern in 2016. Now he's not. Now every time Israel comes up, he just shits on lefties. He doesn't even talk about Israel or Palestine. He just shits on lefties. There was a tweet he did, oh good, Israel announced a ceasefire. Now lefties can
Irish
go
laddie
back to
was a
talking
Vaush.
about college tuition.
This
But
was
isn't
so
that
cringe.
kind of ironic? Destiny's argument is that lefties only... First of all, the idea that lefties don't care about the Middle East is ridiculous. Second of all, Destiny's...
Americans in general don't care about the Middle East. All right, buddy. I'm sorry. Online leftists, maybe they do. Yes, sure, you could say that. But like people in general only care about what's happening in America.
argument is that lefties
Be
only
honest.
focus on trivial things. Israel declares a ceasefire.
Online lefties, though, when I think about online lefties, since that is the topic of discussion, I actually don't hear student debt talked about that much when it comes to online lefties. I hear that more in real life. Twitter isn't passive. You remembered passive, cockeyed rooster. Thank you so much for $5. Twitter is used to spread propaganda. True. Remember, please drop a like on the stream, and also hit subscribe if you did not already. I very much appreciate it for the YouTube algorithm. Spencer, also $5. Thank you again. Your daily contribution to the cause. What's up, my fellow beta? Mail's amazing. Destiny seemed to be going unhinged right now. He'll come out of it.
Destiny's argument is that lefties only focus on trivial things. Israel declares a ceasefire, and Destiny's first thought is to tweet out that lefties are doing something wrong. Even his community pointed that out. Yeah, you can.
Leftist content creators with anti-Semitic. Yeah, I have seen that on Twitter, Tom. I mean, I don't really. Yeah, on Twitter, sure. I've seen a couple people say some really weird stuff.
Even his community pointed that out. Yeah, you can. The trend here is pretty obvious. Look, this is his own damn Reddit. Look. Destiny's friends taking the ceasefire. A ceasefire's been announced.
Destiny has a new donation sound. Vaush is, I feel like I've surpassed him intellectually. Wait, really?
Thank goodness. Now lefties can resume ignoring the existence.
Does
of
anybody have a
Middle East
tape
and
of
go back
that?
to issues really matter,
That sounds
like
kind
how
of
much money
funny.
They owe on their student loans. This is some terminally online, by the way. And I used to think Destiny wasn't like terminally online, but anyway.
Of course he is.
And then the
What do you mean?
top comment is pointing this out. A ceasefire has been announced, thank goodness. Now Destiny can resume ignoring the existence of the entire Middle East and go back to issues that really matter, like how much lefties talk about how much money they owe on their student loans. The top response to that is 07. Because everybody knows what happens when you disagree with Destiny on his Reddit. I don't know if this guy's actually banned or not, because it was a pretty good meme, but like, it's a meme. Like, it happens enough that it's known.
I'm gonna do that. If you disagree with me, you're getting banned.
Everything
Sorry.
that he does now
Losers.
is driven by spite. It's insane. Like, he used to be like pro getting money out of politics and pro Bernie. Now he's not. He hates Bernie bros and he thinks that people overstate the influence of lobbying, you know? He claims
I
that he
hate
doesn't
Bernie
have a
bros
problem
too.
with worker cooperatives.
I used to be one.
So he defines people who want them as not socialists. And
Everybody's a liberal. Socialism isn't real. Socialists aren't real. You are a special liberal. That's all you care. That's all you are. Everybody's a liberal. Everybody's a liberal. Nobody is a not liberal. Sorry. Socialism isn't real. If you're a socialist, you are a liberal. I'm sorry. I don't know.
So he doesn't have to bother
Labels aren't
wasting
real.
time arguing against their positions. He used to be super pro like Palestine, anti-Israeli aggression. Now he's not. Now he's just anti-lefty narrative on this thing.
I've never heard of it.
He's not even pro abandoning the electoral college. He's pro Citizens United now. These are all positions he used to be against. But the lefty arc happened. And now point by point by point, he moves right further and further.
What's
But
his take on the Electoral College? My personal take would be like, maybe we can amend it to make it proportional per state and not winner takes all. I wouldn't mind that. I think that would be a big improvement. What is Destiny's take on that?
Doesn't look that way to a lot of his followers because he still holds baseline progressive positions, and it just looks like he's attacking the far left. But he's not. He's not just attacking the far left. His entire political advocacy is oriented around hating lefties now. And it's real anger, too, by the way. It's real. It's not like some disaffected, like, trolling the left type thing. Have you seen how he talks about lefties? He gets mad. Like Demon Mama. I get Demon Mama could be obnoxious sometimes. He loses his mind.
Damn, did I walk into a Theory's fake arc? Socialism isn't real.
He gets, like, worryingly
Never heard of it.
mad about it, you know? Like, real.
What's Vaush's take?
Jesus. He said socialists are the
abolish.
same as Nazis. He said everyone on the left. He said Philosophy Tube should be deplatformed. Big Joel should be deplatformed. What have you, what have you. When he openly lies on Twitter, backpedals, just make shit up, whatever. He's just trolling.
What's even realistic to do? The most realistic thing is that isn't it that one like state by state agreement where they like all vote in the same way or something like that? Because the actual Electoral College is never going to be actually changed. You can't just amend the Electoral College. It's not going to happen. So you have to do it within state politics or whatever.
Now, the point is, I mean, I can be harsh on this. I just think it's made him really stupid. He used to be a really thoughtful and introspective person, but when it comes to dealing with left-leaning issues, I think he's completely lost the ability to account for himself or like think about what he's saying or doing, you know? He just gets really mad. And he's cultivated a community now that'll follow him along with that. Whenever he does something stupid, you know what they say? Blood, blood, blood. When I say something hyper unproductive or like...
I put the Discord into the chat. If anybody wants to join the Discord, please leave a like on the stream. And I guarantee there are some new people here. So you better hit subscribe for some rural, progressive, pragmatic politics.
But you know what they say? Blood, blood, blood. When I say something hyper unproductive or like detrimental to our broader ideological goals, you guys tend to call me out in it for the most part.
National popular
Even
vote,
with the
interstate
tanky
compact.
stuff, a lot of you were like, I think you're over-fixating on this, which I respect, you know? That happens all the time. My community does hold me to account. He just, yeah, he defends private drug companies now. Even positions that I know, like on the Israel, man, like he'll just take anti-left positions.
Not any Demon Mama
Anyway,
fans in chat.
Do you think Destiny is or will become soon a fascist?
I don't personally watch her.
Destiny is a contrarian, first and foremost. It took me a while to see it, but I think that's the most consistent narrative you can ascribe. When he started fighting against the right back in 2016, you know what he would say all the time? These skeptics are everywhere on YouTube. These fascists are everywhere on YouTube. These alt-righters are everywhere on YouTube. He was very interested in defining himself as a response to a broader trend.
Memes.
And you know what he's been saying for the past 2 years? Now BreadTube is
the Riley stuff.
Now it's lefties that are hyper-popular. What's the next wave going to be? If you
enough
actually
about
listen for him saying it, it's true. He actually fixates on the popularity of his opposition, almost as though his concern wasn't repping a certain set of ideas, but opposing what's most popular. And, I mean, I still think that the online left is minuscule and infinitesimal compared to the broader conservative and fascist trend in this country. But when you're posting tweets like, Israel has declared a ceasefire, now the left can go back to complaining about college tuition, maybe you're just too always online to even see that anymore. Remember when he defended J.K. Rowling's transphobia by saying she was too old to understand? Yeah, I remember. I remember that too. Oh, man. I remember, yeah, just anything. Like if a left-leaning person takes a position, he immediately has to... Saying Ben Shapiro's not racist? Have you watched...
Well, I agree Destiny's a contrarian.
Took him minutes to move over on that point when chat pushed him on it.
Purely no, but largely yes.
When you look at Destiny, you're ever worried that you'll go down the same kind of rabbit hole at some point in the future too? Now that I'm seeing what his behaviors lead to now, no, I really don't think so. I do have a tendency to be always online. I was born online. No getting around that. But I actually believe in something, like fundamentally. Not like I'm really angered by these other people online and my beliefs have to be defined in opposition to that and so on and so forth.
Well, yeah, the tuition tweet is to make people mad. It's a dumb like thing to say, but like, isn't that the point? He's trying to do that. He wants that response, which is something I don't really like out of big content creators. Because, like I said, I think he's a really skilled person. I think he's really good at what he does. So it's disappointing when he takes the 13-year-old Call of Duty player route, in his like rhetoric on Twitter and all that stuff. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's like, what's a good example? Imagine you're like a big, oh boy, I don't know, like Tiger Woods fan, and I don't know, that's not a good example. And he crashes his car, and you're like, oh, you can't be like you used to be. What is that called? Oh my god, I'm trying to think of a good example of like an athlete that just like ruined their career.
Yeah.
They used to be good, but they ruined it.
Why don't you ever talk to
because of like I don't know.
I tried to during the charity live stream, but his
no
mic was
examples
so
in my
bad
head
we
right now.
actually couldn't hear him. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to here is that
Destiny
if
is
it's
not a
fun,
fascist.
the community
No.
is so bad faith that if the community is so bad faith that a pleasant conversation I have with Dylan Burns is dismissed because I had my mask on the whole time, then there's just no point anymore. MM, if we have any mutuals who still like Destiny, that's totally cool. But I would really encourage you to like look at him the way
I still
that
like
do
Destiny. I think he's
now.
going through a bad
or I don't know, like
streak right now.
Pay
I don't know.
attention to some of the trends that I've pointed out. The reflexive anger and hatred towards lefties, the obsession with contrarianism, the backpedaling and the lying, but then condemning other people for backpedaling and lying and banning people who call him out in his behavior when he does it. Because he does it a lot.
Jamarcus
And
Russell.
if there are any other content creators who know
oh,
both
Josh
of us,
Gordon. This
it's
is a
only
good,
matter
good
of
example
time
right there.
before he does to you what he did to like me and a bunch of other people. He's got a lot of people he's on a no talk deal with these days. Okay, he's got a lot of burnt bridges in his past, and it's not surprising to me because it seems like at some point something you do, some position you take or behavior that you engage in clicks a
I don't
switch
know
in
what
his
these words
brain and
even
he
mean.
decides,
I want to have I wish I could have a discussion with Destiny off camera. You know, okay, there's that quality of like when you talk to people in front of an audience where you're going to talk different no matter what, you know what I mean? I don't know if there's an actual term for it, but if I'm talking to somebody or debating somebody, that's going to be a lot different than if I'm talking to them in private. I would really like to hear his like deepest thoughts unfiltered through like, you know, in a way that's like more private. What is his outlook of the world? What makes him like insecure and scared about it? What is, you know, what are the worries? What are the expectations for the next 10 years? All that stuff. You can't really get that out of a stream. Even if a streamer answers questions like that, you're not gonna get like as much as people want to talk like, oh, I'm super genuine on stream. You can be very genuine, but I don't think you can really get to the core of what they really are feeling, you know, during their day-to-day lives through that. So I wish I really could get more about his like general worldview and upbringing and where that led him, like his actual ideology. Because everybody has one, I think. You aren't literally just like a pragmatist or a contrarian. You aren't. I don't believe people are literally like that. Sure, they can engage in discord like that and discourse like that. But I want to see something deeper. You know.
you are no longer worthy of treating in good faith.
What are your what?
Like you're no longer worth
I
that.
can't even
It's not
express
just that I
right
won't
now.
anymore. It's that you're below that degree of treatment. And from now on, everything I do with you is just
I've never
good.
seen the. He had that one. Destiny had that one video where he made fun of Kyle Kalinski's dead dad. That was pretty bad. He made fun of the one person from the Majority Report that left, Jamie, I think. He made fun of her for Michael Brooks. What was that tweet? He said something like, "Oh, you're just saying that to cover for your dead co-host," or something like that about Michael Brooks. That was really messed up. There's just certain things he does where it's like, okay, this is totally unnecessary, but what about you makes you want to do this? But why do you need to say this right here? Do you just feel good about it? Do you feel validated? Is it just your primary reaction? Do you want to make people mad? All that stuff. Like I just don't know. Like the Michael Brooks thing and Kyle Kalinski's dad, his dad. I mean, I don't know what that would be.
Blood sports, you know? Does that make sense?
I know what he did. He made fun of Kyle Kalinski using his dead dad as a reason to support Medicare for all, right? But that's
So anyway, that's really all I have to say about it. So the position that I have on this now is like,
What if Kyle, you don't know if Kyle lied about his dad. You don't know if he lied about it. He might have whatever justified it, whatever the big words are. He might have justified it in his own head, or made it make sense in his own head. Like, oh, wait, what if my dad would have had access to actual healthcare or whatever? I don't know. Maybe he did something like that after the fact. You don't know if he lied about it. You don't know. You can call him an idiot and call him a dumb populist, but you don't need to go into that realm when you're criticizing somebody, unless if you have another reason you're doing that. I want to know what the other reason is that you need to be like gross towards people in certain situations just because you feel like it. Like, I don't know what that is.
discussion of him is banned on Discord and Reddit, and also here in the chat, because I just don't care anymore. We spent entirely too long being concerned with the opinion that he and his community have had. Any drama farmers, any clip chimps, any drama frogs, whatever, you're all going to get banned.
I know that Kyle had two different stories. The original clip had him saying, the original clip had Kyle Kulinski saying that his dad didn't trust actual doctors. He refused to go to an actual doctor. All right, so Kyle Kulinski originally said his dad refused to go to an actual doctor. Then a couple years down the road, Kyle Kulinski used his dad as an example for why we need Medicare for all. He said, my dad was sick and he went to a chiropractor because his back hurt. If we had Medicare for all, maybe my dad would have went to an actual doctor. So, in modern times, he says, oh, my dad didn't have access to a doctor. But before, when his channel was smaller, Kyle Kulinski said, oh, my dad doesn't believe in going to a doctor. But I understand how trauma affects people, and he might have just reasoned with it in that way. He might have convinced himself. There's definitely a chance that Kyle might have convinced himself. Like, oh, wait, if we had Medicare for all, maybe my dad would have went to the doctor. Maybe he would have. Like, there is a 100% chance that Kyle did that. I agreed that it's a shitty thing to do. When I saw that for the first time, I'm like, holy crap, is he using his dead dad to sell Medicare for all by saying Medicare for all would have saved Kyle Kulinski's dad, would have saved his dad? I thought that right away. But I also know that Kyle Kulinski has some issues up there. So I don't know, like, he's spoken about having issues with drugs and all that stuff and losing parents and all that stuff. Like, you never know how people are going to justify things. And you don't know his dad's entire life story from 2 videos. You don't know what led to his dad not trusting doctors. Maybe you literally don't know. Maybe he never was allowed to go to a doctor as a kid. His dad was poor or something, so he never went. So he doesn't trust doctor. Who knows what the answer is? I just don't get why certain people feel the need to act in a disgusting manner towards other people to prove a point when they can easily win a rhetorical battle. That's the one thing I don't get, because Destiny is really good at what he does. So why does he ruin himself by going into 13-year-old Xbox gamer mode? That is my question. Why does he do that? You don't need to go into these dark areas to make a point when you're that good at talking. Unless if he was baiting Kyle. I don't know. But I'm just saying, that's my point. Why does he feel the need to take it a step further past the point of being effective? Even with the Rittenhouse stuff. That clip, out of context, was really bad. I wish that did not happen to anybody. But you shouldn't even get to that point if you're arguing on behalf of that, whatever, on that position. He could have argued for that position in a way better, more effective way if he wasn't so inflammatory with it. It would have helped him win more arguments. Why did he have to go to that extra level? Why does he always have to go to the extra level, going past what is considered acceptable? That's my only question. Why does he always have to go to the other darker route?
Because you side with Destiny. Because you keep bringing it to my attention. I do not care anymore. But if you want to just chill and watch the stream, then you'll always be welcome here.
Hey, guess what, head-mounted? Booksmarts and I are talking in 2 weeks. So you are getting your wish. You are going to get your wish. That is a conversation I'm excited for. Because I think Booksmarts and I can have a very productive conversation that Destiny and I weren't able to have. And I think we can really talk about that truth stuff. We can talk about the Katie Porter stuff. I think Booksmarts and I are going to have a really good conversation about that in 2 weeks. Probably 2 weeks on a Wednesday, I'm guessing. I think that's when he does streams. I have to email him back, but that should be fun. Please drop a like on the stream and consider subscribing. Again, I have to shout myself out, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
What about offline
Sorry.
chat? I mean, if no mods are around, we can't get you, right? That's the rule with everything, isn't it? Anyway, one last thing I want to say. No doubt this will be met with some unironic debate broach, like, oh, he's too much of a pussy to debate me, or that type of thing. I know that because Destiny said that he wanted to debate me on, like, the Israel-Palestine thing, and I responded on my stream. I just don't know what there is to even disagree about. It just seems like Destiny's angry, and he just wants to debate me because he's angry at me. And you know what Destiny said when he saw that clip? He said, wow, I've never seen Vaush so timid. Proving my point. He didn't have a response. He was just angry. Like, you see?
What is this video about?
I mean, that kind of proves my point right there, isn't it? Oh, and one other thing. I'm sorry. As long as we're getting all this off our chest. One other quick thing, okay? The fact that his community has made out Hyena to be some sort of demagogue responsible for deplatforming Destiny from
That Kyle Kalinske crystal ball show, I'm curious if she's gonna bring up the multiple times Vaush called her a stupid B word, you know? He did that multiple times. You know, on many occasions he called her an idiot, fascist, or like neo-Nazi enabler. So I'm wondering if she's gonna bring that up and if Vaush is gonna back off of it.
all this off our chest. One other quick thing, okay? The fact that his community has made out Hyena to be some sort of demagogue responsible for deplatforming Destiny from Twitch is pathetic, okay? You know what Hyena's involvement in that whole deplatforming
27th.
Twitch departnering Rittenhouse thing was? During a live stream that I did, where I had 12,000 people watching and chat was flying so quickly that it visually reset every 3 seconds, Hyena said a single thing in response to Destiny unironically defending Rittenhouse. They said, oh my god, this might actually be worth a ban. A message which disappeared in the time it takes to blink, which nobody noticed or saw, something which raced past the screen. But then some DGGer went into chat, pulled up the log, screenshotted it, and the rest of Destiny's community act like Hyena orchestrated
What's the deal
some
with
kind
that?
of community-wide report fest.
So when Destiny has the conversations about Rittenhouse, he doesn't ever say, so in chat let me know if you agree or disagree with his take. So Destiny always says, I agree that Rittenhouse was really dumb. I agree that Rittenhouse was really stupid. And if you've heard him talk about it, I'm sure you've heard him say that. So Rittenhouse was dumb, Rittenhouse was stupid. But Destiny refuses, or he tries to not say Rittenhouse was wrong, right? He doesn't say he was wrong or he did anything bad. He always says he was dumb. So is that just because Rittenhouse truly, or Destiny truly doesn't believe Rittenhouse did something bad? Or does he really think Rittenhouse was simply just a dumb kid who got wrapped up into something? Is that what he's saying?
Destiny's community act like Hyena orchestrated some kind of community-wide report fest. That's it. No, that's actually it. Like, chat, spam really fast. Just spam something. Just spam a thing. Just go quickly, okay? See? Look at any individual message from this chat, okay? But be careful. One of these messages might incite the community into a coordinated harassment campaign. Who knows which one? I don't know because I can't read this fast. Okay? This is seriously, this is where it's, the whole anti-Hyena thing, this is where it came from, by the way.
In regard to the shooting?
I mean, it wasn't going this fast. It was probably going half this fast. But do you see? This is ridiculous. And for the I had to see posted about them that they coordinated, that Vaush and Hyena coordinated a harassment moderation ban campaign. Really, any one of these things happening should have been evidence enough that there was no point in engaging with this community anymore, but I want you all to be on board with my decision. That's another thing I really shouldn't let slide. You know what's oh god, as long as we're letting it all out right now. You know what's really funny? People in Destiny's community accuse me of stealing some of his takes. I mean, for a long time I listened to him, so no doubt some of his positions influenced mine. Fine. He was a right-leaning person years and years and years after I first started talking to him. If I took a couple of takes from him, he took my progressive ideology. I was going on there like encouraging him to be a feminist back in 2014 and earlier, okay? Like, Who's the, like, yeah, Jesus. He described himself as an SJW for a while. I was doing that years beforehand, okay? If we're actually talking about originative ideologies, then yeah, I may have watched a lot of his streams. It took about half a dozen conversations for me to push him all the way over the positions that he's now ruining, okay? Jesus. You literally taught him what trans people are? Yeah, I can't believe anyone, like, it's the, what's the term, the new frogs? Yeah, they're like, I saw Vaush say he doesn't like rent control on its own without other types of policies, and that's a position I heard from Destiny. It's so arrogant. Does anyone here remember back during the N-word arc for Destiny? Back when he was being accused of being a white moderate by some people, and Destiny said, "Don't you call me a white moderate. I'm the one who introduced that clip to everyone. The letter, what is it? Letter from a Birmingham jail. I'm the one who brought that here." Does anyone remember that?
Wait, Destiny wrote the letter from Birmingham what? He was there? Dude, that's crazy. Destiny marched with Bernie. I didn't know that. Destiny and Bernie marched with MLK. What?
Somebody
That's
used
so
the
big.
white moderate line on him, and he was like, I taught you all the letter from a Birmingham jail." One of the most well-known pieces of literature from the most well-known civil rights hero in all of American history. Does anyone remember that? Please tell me someone remembers that. I remember that? Okay, thank God. I just want to make sure I'm not making shit up, because I remember this very vividly. The astounding arrogance. MLK was actually Destiny in blackface? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess he really wasn't a socialist then. God, it's so
cool.
stupid. Anyway, we have to be done with this, okay?
He freed the slaves?
Because, like,
That's
this
why he can
happens
say the
every
N-word.
stream now. People in chat, like what Destiny said about you. But, like,
So cool.
what is this? What do we accomplish here? No, I'm pretty sure I saw a clip from my Reddit where he was arguing with Lauren Southern. Hold on. He was arguing with Lauren Southern, and his language, like compared to today's language, was night and day. Oh, here it is. Yes, Destiny v. Destiny.
Saying civilian deaths are okay if we're killing a
What
large
about if we
ISIS
talk about
command?
America supporting Israel that bombs hospitals and bombs schools, dog? It doesn't matter if it's a suicide.
You know they bomb hospitals and schools because terrorist organizations in Palestine put their freaking weapons there. No one.
Do you think
everyone
Palestinian
knows that.
sick people and children care about that?
And then the rest of it is clips of him being contrarian with lefties.
Interesting.
Yeah. Destiny live title. R.I.P. Vaush, severe case of Destiny derangement syndrome, frowny face, listening to rant and then Moonlord. Doesn't this kind of prove my point a little bit?
Xander Hall should never debate Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this kind of proves my point a little bit.
Yeah, true.
Also, isn't that him taking a thing I made up? All right, okay.
Let's play a classic real quick. We got to play a classic. Everybody that was here to watch my reaction to Vaush, make sure you subscribe. Nobody new subscribed, actually, during this stream. Nobody knew. I checked my subscriber count a second ago. Out of like 120 people, nobody new subscribed. How dare you? Destiny also built the cathedrals. Yeah, that is true. It's really difficult going really deep into these like philosophical debates about certain things, because the real world applications are very much more. How do you talk? Okay. Good night. Are much more. Real life is a lot more simple and complicated at the same time. Like, you know that thing Katie Porter did with the board that Destiny was mad about? She had the board up and all that shit. Oh my God, that's the most, like, baby form. That's the most freaking innocent form of political messaging that you can partake in. And he got pissed off about it. That in the real world isn't even questioned. That's the most innocent form of anything, of any type of political messaging you can engage in. Like, you should see what people do out here. And even in freaking mayoral races. Holy crap, dude. Nobody ties that much substance back to anything like she did. They don't even point out policy failures. They just freaking make people mad and scared, so they vote for them. So they vote for certain politicians. Like, holy crap, of all things to get mad at. And I have all these people, like, messaging me, like, is this acceptable? Can you really act in politics this way? I'm like, dude, Get into politics and then come back and then come back to me. Work for a campaign. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Talk to a lobbyist. Talk to a politician. Talk to a political scientist. Talk to one of these people for a good day. Talk about the history of politics in general. Talk about Reagan. Talk about Clinton. Talk about Nixon. Talk about JFK. Talk about freaking Teddy Roosevelt if you want to talk about good messaging and popular support. It's not a new phenomenon. There's not like a sudden new radical pendulum swing. It's just freaking things like the internet matter more than what freaking Katie Porter did as a factor. I don't know. Who's this guy?
Bernie Sanders has introduced a resolution blocking the $735 million weapon sale to Israel.
Okay, cool. Good video, Jimmy. Bernie's dumb.
Bernie Sanders has introduced
an idiot. He should have forced a vote.
A resolution.
What a dumbass.
Blocking the $735 million weapon sale to Israel. He said that, according to The Guardian, Bernie Sanders said that the U.S. needs to examine if sale of weapons is simply fueling conflict. You think? So, by the way, Senator Bernie Sanders introduced a resolution on Thursday disapproving and halting the U.S. sale of $735 million in...
So is he mad about this?
Precision-guided weapons to Israel. The current conflict in the Middle East has opened splits in the Democratic Party between its progressive wing and its centrists, including the White House. Joe Biden's administration has approved the potential sale of $735 million in weapons to Israel. Eastern time in Washington, D.C. I'm guessing that didn't happen. I'm guessing that arms sale went through, huh? I guess Bernie didn't threaten to put a fucking hold on any bill at any time to do anything to make sure this happened, just like he would.
What would Bernie have done? Which one of these is going to be more dumb? Squad caves and votes to Superfund police. Biden retracts every campaign promise. Cuomo, colossal ethics violation. Alabama, more progressive than Biden. Mass protest in Colombia. YouTube censoring Israel coverage. Biden continues doing Putin's bidding. Bernie and AOC give lip service to McDonald's, whatever. Is anything here like going against right-wing disinformation or misinformation? Cuomo, okay, against Democrats, against Democrats, against Democrats, against Democrats, against Democrats, against Democrats, some lab stuff. Hunter Biden. What's the difference between this and a right-wing, like, Tim Pool channel? What the hell, dude? Is there going to be anything against, like, the right wing? DSA advocate sneers at healthcare advocates? Or healthcare?
Wait.
DSA leader sneers at healthcare activists?
Ryan Knight used to be a Warren-supporting shitlib, and then...
Oh, no. What is that
woke
good
up,
thing? Maybe that's good.
And
what
now...
is this? Tell me what it is. Maybe I should not be laughing. I'm laughing at Ryan Knight. I don't know anything about the Red Berets for Medicare for All. I'm laughing at Ryan Knight because he's a funny individual. Red Beret for Medicare for All is, oh, never mind. We can laugh. Wait. We are a grassroots organization of crafters and volunteers out to raise awareness nationwide about healthcare for all. Volunteer, knit, and craft support the initiatives. So this is an army of artists, crafters, and knitters in support of universal healthcare. They started in a very deep blue state, in probably the bluest part of the country. Cool. They're gaining ground across the U.S. on Twitter. This is cool. Good for them. Thank you for fighting for universal healthcare. Awesome.
He is to the left of the Democratic Party, and so now people are shitting on him on a daily basis. Powerful people. The Washington Post, their lead political reporters doing it. Every jagoff on YouTube who's got an MSNBC contract. So if you're an establishment defender, you're going to go after Ryan Knight because he's no longer propping up the establishment, and they got to get him, man. The only thing they can do is smear like they did
Ryan Knight is going to topple the elite Democratic order.
Like they did Joe Rogan, like they're doing to him now. So if you get to the left of the Democratic Party, first thing they do is smear you.
Look how many likes there are. 69 likes. Wow, that's a funny number.
They'll smear you as a misogynist, sexist, Russian, white supremacist, all that stuff. I've been smeared, all of that. So he tweeted this out. So he's got this red beret on, right? Which is the red beret. Anyway, he says, look what finally came in the mail. I have no idea if I'm wearing it right, LOL, but it's an honor to wear a red beret. Thank you, Red Beret Medicare for All organization, for starting this grassroots organization to advocate and organize for Medicare for All. Learn more at redberetsmedicareforall.com. Seems pretty harmless, right? Hey, there's a local organization in Washington State that's organizing.
Let's see it.
And then they hand knit. Here it is. And then they hand knit.
Get me the reversal.
To say thanks for being a supporter.
Innocent,
I think it's really sweet. I think it's
what happened.
Really nice. What do you
We've
think?
received them in the past at our show at the Triple Door.
Oh, we got.
And look at Ron Placone. He has his hat there. Convo Couches received
I
their
would put it
hats.
on, but it'll fuck up my hair for the rest of
I
the
got
show.
you. Yeah.
I'll put it on at the very end.
When we were in Seattle,
I want to hear
organizing for Medicare for All at the state level. Washington, right there they are. And then guess what? Get what happened? Just so when you see this, what happens in the mind of someone who is in leadership at the DSA? They see that and they go, "How can I shit on that guy for being to the left of the DSA because we're not fighting for Medicare for All?" Well, here's what they do. When Proud Socialist gets fear of missing out for not earning a pink DSA hat.
What?
I mean, imagine seeing this guy wearing this, doing that, and thinking, I bet I should shit on him. Right? And he found this worthwhile to take time out to tweet that. And who is that guy? That guy is David S. Duhalde, who's, if you've ever met him in person.
Okay, enough Jimmy Dore. I saw something really funny on MSNBC's YouTube page that I wanted to bring up because you see this a lot. You know, self-made, all right? Self-made billionaires. The youngest self-made female billionaire in the world talks with, I don't know how to say his name right, in the latest installment of the Summit series, a series of in-depth interviews with the leaders at the summit of their fields. On this episode, Bumble CEO Whitney Wolfe Herd. Watch here. Now, I love seeing the words self-made billionaire. Whenever you see the words self-made, that is code for Google my name and my background. Because if you actually Google her name, let's see, Whitney Wolfe Herd. Whitney, let's use Wikipedia. Whitney Wolfe Herd Wikipedia. Right there. American entrepreneur, founder of Bumble. She left Tinder to start Bumble. So she got the business model for her business from an already successful app and copy and pasted it. So she took Tinder and made her own Tinder, basically. She didn't innovate. She didn't do anything. She did not do anything. Let's see. Early life for this self-made billionaire. Look at this self-made billionaire. She was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, to Michael Wolfe, a wealthy property developer. Wealthy property developer. Very cool. At the age of 20, she sold bamboo tote bags to benefit areas affected by the BP oil spill. Thank you, Dad, for the money so I could start my business. She partnered with a celebrity stylist to start a nonprofit. That's totally normal for a self-made billionaire to start a nonprofit. Very cool. So she left Tinder. Something bad happened, I guess. Where is her? Oh, here's the funny part. In December 2013, she met Michael Herd, an oil heir. Self-made billionaire, literally. An oil heir in Aspen. Bro. Super cool. In Aspen, she happens to meet an oil heir. They married in 2017. In 2019, the couple sold Michael's family compound in Texas for $28.5 million US. Self-made. In 2020, Forbes listed Herd at number 39 of top 100 America's richest self-made women. You know what self-made means? Nothing at all. For you to be a self-made billionaire, all you need to do is not currently have $1 billion. If you start off life and your parents give you $999 million and, you know, no, how about this? $999 million, $999,999.99. And if you have that much money from your parents and you earn 1 penny by yourself, you are now officially a self-made billionaire. You did it, guys. Congratulations. You worked hard. The American dream right there, baby. You think I'm off base here? Okay, let's go over it again. This woman was born to a wealthy family, got a lot of money from her wealthy family, went to a very nice school, married an oil heir. They sold his family's property for $30 million. She started a huge nonprofit at the age of 20 based on bamboo tote bags. The point is, the overall point is that self-made billionaire, the words self-made are propaganda to make people think billionaires are actually self-made. When in reality, anybody who is truly self-made is not a billionaire. Nobody, or 0.5% of rich people, probably 0.01% of rich people, start off working class and work their way up to be super wealthy. You can start off working class and make 6 figures. You can make $400,000 a year starting off working class if you get really, really, really lucky and work really, really, really hard. But anybody that makes millions of dollars per year had a huge head start in life. That's the only thing. How do I donate, bud? Thank you. How are you a conservative, but you like watching this? But anyway, thank you very much. How do you donate? Super chat, I guess. Thank you. Okay. Obama was right when he said you didn't build that. Yeah, and rich people get connections. That's all that matters. I mean, I get connections, and I'm not rich by any means. By any means. I got connections because I am perfect at nothing. But I do work hard.
How do you think?
Do you hear that voice? Oh, did you
Is
see
to
this?
take children and then to
Oh no. I'm actually a grifter. I'm pretty alright at Rocket League. Thank you. That really means a lot to me. Alright, everybody have a good night. Everybody can leave now. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you for subscribing. Clipped and shipped. What? I am bad at every... Here, clip this. Clip this. I'm bad at literally everything. And I have nothing else to say. Do I have my gaming stuff set up? Yeah, I'm just gonna play some Rocket League. Durka brought it up, so now I have to. My Destiny impression? What was that? Can somebody remind me what my Destiny impression is? I'm not getting off, Spencer. I'm just playing Rocket League and watching videos. What video should I watch? I didn't see the new Philosophy Tube video yet. Or the new... See you. If I put my gaming on, do I have a second screen here? Rio, YouTube chat. No, I need to add a screen somewhere. Let me try this. If I add display, studio mode, add display here. Put this on. That's what streamers do, right? Streamers put on videos and react to them. That's how you play the game. When you play Rocket League. Clip it out. Exit studio mode. Now that's there. That right there. Or something. I don't know. Put it right there or right up here? Down here? Where? Top right or top left? Or bottom left? Good night, Cockeyed Rooster. Up here? Down here? To the bottom left? Where? Tell me. Help me out. Somebody. Please. You can't stand my side, but I seem pretty reasonable. Thank you. I love watching the viewer count drain when I turn on Rocket League. Thank you so much, Jay. Have a good night. Yeah, nerd. You're right. Okay. Bottom right? Cool.
Hello, I'm Abigail. Welcome to Philosophy Tube.
Oh, this is
I've got a
too
bit of a special
fast.
treat for you this month.
This is way too fast. Oh my god. Dude. Work.
Athena, the goddess of wisdom, got in touch with me. Turns out she's a huge fan of the show, and she offered to let me use her magical library to research today's episode. This room actually contains all the knowledge in the universe. She's got everything. Secrets of quantum physics, the truth about Atlantis.
Do theater kids like this stuff?
A list of all of my
I feel
romantic
like theater
failures.
kids really like this stuff. Or like band kids. You know, if you're a band kid or a theater kid in high school.
In alphabetical order. There's just one problem. Today's episode isn't about knowledge. It's about ignorance. The study of ignorance is a relatively new and cutting-edge field in philosophy. It actually has its own name, agnotology. It comes from the ancient Greek words agnosis and logos, which translate into English as Martin from year 9. Oh, sorry, that's romantic failures again. Anyway, ignorance is a pretty broad topic. It touches on all sorts of things, like privacy, deliberately keeping other people ignorant of something. Justice, is justice blind? Politics, how do we deal with things like misinformation and public ignorance? It also comes into play in mathematics when we think about uncertainty and probability, although we won't be talking about those today because I only know 3 things about mathematics. 1, I'm not very good at it, and B, I'm also not very good at it. We'll also be looking at censorship, including a real example that affected my life in a major way, and which raises perhaps the most pressing question of all. They say that people are afraid of what they don't understand. But what if some people don't want to understand?
You know, this can be good. A lot of good points here. How do you talk to people who don't want to learn anything? It's just their point of existing is to disagree with you. So many
You might be surprised to
people
hear
are
that some
contrarians,
philosophers thought a little bit of ignorance can be a good thing. John Rawls
I
was a
agree.
very well-respected American philosopher of justice, and he thought that society should be a cooperative system based on rules. But that prompts the question, how do we decide on the rules? Left to their own devices, people will come up with rules that benefit them but screw over everybody else. So how do we make sure they decide on good ones? The solution, he said, was a veil of ignorance. A just society could be designed by a committee of people who do not know what position they will occupy in that society. So we take a bunch of people and we erase their memories so they don't know anything about the world or themselves. They're allowed to know what kind of human beings there are and what sorts of things we need and enjoy, but other than that, nothing. And this group of people, behind the veil of ignorance, they will choose the rules. They're allowed to know everything they need to do their jobs, but absolutely nothing else about the world or humanity. So it's kind of like going to Cambridge. The idea is that if you don't know whether you're going to be the president or an unemployed single mum, you'll design a society where unemployed single mums can do okay, because once you come out from behind the veil of ignorance, that might be you. Of course, in real life, it's not possible to do this. Rawls's thought experiment belongs to the kind of philosophy we call ideal theory. That's where we think about what might happen
I'm Diamond 2. I just started playing again.
under ideal circumstances and see if it tells us anything interesting about the actual circumstances. Rawls's thought experiment is an example of how ignorance marks out the boundaries of a discussion. We ignore, that is, we remain ignorant of, everything that is deemed not relevant. So knowledge and ignorance are two sides of the same coin. In Rawls's case, the committee's ignorance of their self-interest structures their knowledge of justice. And there are real-life justice systems that work a little bit like this. Juries might be told to ignore certain evidence in a trial, for instance. You might have racked up thousands of pounds in library fines by checking out weird catgirl mangas and not returning them, but you're on trial for the much lesser crime of murder, so the jury will remain blessedly ignorant of that. This is a key point in agnotology, so it's worth making sure that you understand. Ignorance isn't just the blank waiting to be filled in. Ignorance gives knowledge its structure. If you're very clever and you've watched my last episode on ideology, you might remember the idea that political ideologies are defined just as much by what they don't say as what they do say, the notes that aren't being played. It's the same kind of thing.
Ignorance is not a motionless state. It is an active accomplishment requiring ever-vigilant understanding of what not to know.
So here's something cool. What if we take this idea that ignorance gives knowledge its structure and we turn it back on John Rawls himself? He's deliberately remaining ignorant of the actual state of justice in the world to think about what things would be like in ideal circumstances, because that's what ideal theory does. But what if ideal theory isn't the right way to do it? The philosopher Charles Mills criticized this move, saying that remaining ignorant of society's problems is hardly likely to generate good solutions, and may in fact be why those problems continue. If you put ignorance in, you'll surely get ignorance out. In particular, Mills highlights that Rawls doesn't really mention racial injustice all that much, which is a pretty big oversight for a philosopher of justice to make.
I can't even hit the ball.
A political philosophy thriving for 30 years that makes next to no mention of the centrality of racial injustice to the basic structure of the United States, and assumes instead that it will be more theoretically appropriate to start from the ideal theory assumption that society is the product of a mutually agreed on non-exploitative enterprise to divide benefits and burdens in an equitable way. This is somehow going to illuminate the distinctive moral problems of a society based on exploitative white settlement. One does not confront a history of racial domination by ignoring it, since to ignore it is just to incorporate it through silence into the conceptual apparatus, whose genealogy will typically ensure that it is structured so as to take the white experience as normative.
Normative there means giving values.
I hate my
Comes
teammates
from the
so
ancient
much.
Greek
Holy.
word nomos, which translates into English as Jennifer from second year of university. Sorry, this keeps happening. When Mills and other philosophers talk about taking the white experience as normative, they mean that there are certain things that white people remain ignorant of. Mills talks about
God,
white ignorance,
what an
capital
idiot.
W,
Holy
capital R.
crap, dude.
And I bet that some people will hear that term and they'll go, because we're used to thinking of ignorance as a bad thing. Ignorant is an insult, right? Well, that's not necessarily how philosophers use it. An example of white ignorance might be, I don't know what it's like to be racially profiled by the police, for instance. That's not something I can know. When we, white people, try to design neutral ideal systems that use ignorance to set the boundary of what's relevant, we of course use our own ignorance to set that boundary. So the neutral ideal system ends up reflecting the viewpoints of the white designers. Ignorance in, ignorance out. This is another key point in agnotology. Ignorance isn't just a natural thing that happens, it's created and reinforced by society. So what if, instead of pretending that it's not there, we tried to figure out why people become ignorant in the first place? Philosophers sometimes distinguish between passive ignorance and active ignorance. Passive ignorance is when you just don't know something, like, I don't really know all that much about owls. No offense. There's just some things that I don't need to know. Active ignorance is when you go out of your way to make sure that you don't know something, to ignore it, because you need to not know. And that's where things get interesting.
Johann.
For instance, I am not, at time of recording, a vegetarian. Maybe I will be someday. I have tried a few times, and if I'm honest, it made me pretty miserable. But I am aware, because I have vegetarian and vegan friends, that if I were to really look into what factory farming is like, it's possible that would make me even more miserable than not eating meat would. And so, I don't look into it. In order to avoid being miserable, I deliberately remain ignorant. And most of the time, I don't even think about that ignorance. I'm deliberately ignorant of my deliberate ignorance.
I was talking to somebody today, and they were talking about like Biden being the reason for like gas prices and high lumber prices. And I'm like, but Biden has nothing to do, like no policy he's done affected any of this. And they said, you know what? I don't care. Because you know why I don't care what the facts are? Even if you're right, I don't care because you would have treated Trump the same exact way. That's what they said to me.
This is an example of what philosopher Jennifer Foster calls doxastic anxiety. That's anxiety about forming beliefs. I don't want to believe that eating meat is wrong, so I remain deliberately ignorant of anything that might change my mind. It comes from the ancient Greek word doxa, which translates into English as Rebecca from that one nightclub in Essex.
I hate my teammates
There's a
so
subtle
much.
point here,
Oh
which
my
you might
God.
disagree with, which is that believing or not believing something can be a moral matter. In other words, morality isn't just about your actions, eating meat or not. There are moral ways to think as well. You can be doxastically cowardly or doxastically brave. And you might be like, whoa, that sounds like some thought crime 1984 shit. Surely I can believe whatever I like. Surely it's my actions that count. And it is certainly a step away from John Rawls, who thought that justice was
My teammate
basically
is so
about the
bad.
distribution of stuff and opportunities. But that depends on your view of morality. If you think that morality is just about the consequences of your actions, then yeah, okay. But in recent years, philosophers have started talking about having the right intellectual virtues. If I get to heaven someday, and my old philosophy teacher's there, and he says, so, how do you think that went? I'll have to say, well, Mr. Baker, I don't think I tried my best. When it came to the question of whether or not it's right to eat meat, I dodged the question. Is that on its own
I hate my
grounds
teammate.
for not getting into heaven?
Oh my God.
Is there a certain point at which denial
scored.
itself
He scored. It's
becomes morally wrong? Well, maybe to answer that one, we could look at a real-life example. Riddle me that, and riddle me this. What kind of death is born in bliss? Riddle me further, if you're such a bright spark, what kind of light keeps you
Wait, who just said that?
in the dark?
Who just said that about the CEO? She literally made... Okay, after working for Tinder, that billionaire that we just were talking about, after leaving Tinder, made a dating app where you swipe right for people you like and swipe left for people you don't like. The only difference in Bumble that's not in Tinder is that the girls have to answer first. That's the only difference. They're the same app. She didn't innovate. She's a billionaire because she was born into wealth. Literally. She didn't innovate. No. God, dude. Swear to God. It hurts.
Tobacco companies in the early 20th century were living large.
Yeah, critique my Rocket League
But by the
play. I don't care.
1950s,
I
the
need a good
evidence was
teammate.
trickling in that smoking is incredibly bad for you, and big tobacco had a big problem. How do we keep people ignorant? Or at least
Like now, like this guy should be
ignorant
getting out
enough
right
that
now.
they'll
He
keep
shouldn't just be
smoking.
freaking twirling
By the
around
way,
in the middle of the
occasionally
field
on
after
this
driving
show,
down
I
the
use
field.
smoking and fire as metaphors for fascism, but in this episode I am talking about literal tobacco companies. And they came up with a very villainous solution. You start off by saying, this evidence looks pretty serious. So we are going to fund a whole bunch of medical research to figure out whether our product really does cause lung cancer. We are going to pay for it out of our own pockets, because that's how much we care. And then you set up a study looking into whether anything other than smoking causes cancer, like air pollution or dust mites or fatty foods, it doesn't matter. Does jazz cause cancer? I don't know. Here's $1 million to find out. Your study obviously comes to the conclusion we can't know for sure, because cancer does have complex causes, and one scientific study is never
Ivan,
going
I
to be
passed it to you,
100%.
you idiot.
You don't actually have to come down either way. So long as you conclude by saying, these results
hate this guy so
demonstrate
much.
the need for further research. And that is now your headline. More research needed into cigarettes cancer,
We'll play
say
Brawlhalla
scientists.
then. I need to get this out of my
Everybody who
system.
smokes will read that and go, ah, a perfect excuse to not think about whether or not this is killing me. I will indulge my doxastic anxiety and remain in the dark. Pass me a light. This is fully evil genius level shit. Evil because, let's not forget, cigarettes are addictive and they kill millions of people every year. And genius because you don't have to be evil to go along with it. You can hire honest scientists to investigate the legit question of whether air pollution causes lung cancer. You can hire honest editors and graphic designers to print your findings in a nice glossy magazine and distribute it. You can rely on honest journalists to report both sides. If you just paid people to lie, then they'd have to be as villainous as you. But you don't even have to do that. You just have to ask the right questions. And you can use this playbook for anything. Why stop at cigarettes? Do it for opioid painkillers as well. Do it for lead paint,
Why is he
asbestos,
doing-
CFCs,
Look how bad my
beryllium.
teammates
Do
are.
it for political stuff. Do it for gun crime. Do it for debt buildup in the financial system.
God,
do it for police
dude.
racism. Do it for terrorism studies. Do it for trans healthcare. Just so long as the debate never stops and the matter is never settled. As one cigarette company executive put it, doubt is our product. And if the balance of the evidence does start to tip against you, you've got one more trick up your sleeve. Pretend like it's old news. Like, pfft, yeah, everybody knows that cigarettes cause lung cancer. We certainly never denied that. Our product is about rebellion and choice and freedom. Everybody knows that it's addictive and that it kills you. And if everybody knows it, well, there's no need to keep bringing it up. Did the owners of cigarette companies really believe that their product was safe? Do they still? Maybe some people are genuinely cynical and don't care what happens to the rest of the world, but I think that for a lot of us, for certain topics, the doxastic anxiety is just too great. We'll take any excuse to not think about it, even if it means death. Ignorance is bliss. Riddle me square or riddle me round. What kind of explosion makes no sound? In 1942, the United States had a problem. They were working on a project, a very special kind of project, coordinated from Manhattan, trying to build a very special kind of bomb. But they weren't the only ones. Across the Atlantic in Nazi Germany, Hitler's scientists were racing to do the exact same thing. So the American plans had to be kept secret. As a matter of global security, people needed to be ignorant. When it comes to classified secrets, there's two kinds. The first is stuff like, the troops will land at dawn. It's very simple, so it's easy to leak, but it's got a limited shelf life. After dawn tomorrow, it's not really going to matter if everyone knows. And it's also not really something that you could figure out unless somebody tells you. Compare that to the second type of secret. Something like how to build a nuclear bomb. Now that is very complicated, so it's harder to leak, but it doesn't have a shelf life. You've got to keep it secret forever. And this is the really dangerous part. It's something that your enemies could, in theory, figure out on their own. If they've got the resources and the scientists and the labs and the time, they could learn your secrets by going the long way round. And that means that if you're trying to keep this secret, you also have to keep all the research you did to get there secret as well. The Americans didn't just classify the final design, they had to classify all the little steps they did to get to it, like how to enrich uranium and even basic principles of atomic physics that they discovered, because if you know that, then you can start to join the dots. The Nazis spent ages fiddling on with heavy water, trying to use it as a neutron moderator. Meanwhile, the Americans were like, actually, graphite works much better, but shh. The truth can be explosive, so keep it silent. Keeping a lot of information secret like that is very difficult, it's very expensive, it's very inefficient, and the more secrets the government keeps, the more heavy-handed they have to be about protecting them. And this is not a problem that has gone away. Certain parts of the US and UK governments are, right now, toying with the idea of removing public funding from schools and universities that teach divisive woke concepts. The plan is that legislators want to keep people ignorant of ideas that they believe are harmful or extreme, that there are some ideas that must just be ruled out as illegitimate, not even worth hearing, because hearing them might threaten the existence of a system in which any ideas are expressible. Now that on its own isn't a particularly new concern, though of course the devil is in who chooses the ideas that are too dangerous to hear, and which ideas will they choose. For our philosophical purposes today, though, there's two things we could note. Firstly, divisive woke concepts are much more like that second kind of secret, because people could figure them out on their own. Let's take communism, for example, since I assume that's going to be on the list. You could ban every copy of the Communist Manifesto. You could ban everyone from reading Karl Marx. But if you just, work in a pub and have your eyes open, you can see that society is divided into different classes of people based on their relationship to owning stuff. And society is generally structured around satisfying the desires of the owner class rather than the working class. Even if you wouldn't use that language,
why is my teammate up there with me, dude? Holy crap.
Inside of you.
Nobody knows how to rotate.
You can't stop that. Even if your grandkids are working on Mars and the Elon Musk salt mines in 100 years with no Karl Marx anywhere on the planet, there'll still be nothing stopping them going, hang on a minute. Well, this is shit. And because they are like that second kind of secret, if you want to keep people ignorant, you can't just ban a few books. You're going to have to get seriously repressive. Secondly, it's interesting that these legislators claim the concepts themselves are divisive.
Why is he there again?
The civil rights organizer Kwame Ture
was supposed to be rotating. This guy's so dumb.
No, I'm not. I'm just drawing people's the concepts themselves are divisive. The civil rights organizer Kwame Ture was often accused of being divisive, and he said, well, no, I'm not. I'm just drawing people's attention to divisions that already exist. Inequality and injustice are real. What you're doing is just ordering us all to ignore them. If you think back to what we learned earlier on about ignorance marking out the boundaries of a discussion, we can see how a philosopher like Charles Mills might interpret this not just as an attempt to keep the public ignorant, but an attempt to build white ignorance specifically into the structure of society. And if you want a real-life example of something like that happening with very serious consequences, then I've got one for you. Riddle me shameful, or riddle me proud. What is the number of silence out loud? Riddle me mad, or riddle me sane. What kind of love dares not speak its name?
Profound.
This is a real newspaper article. It's from the Telegraph from a couple of weeks ago, and as soon as I saw it, I knew that I had to talk about it on the show because it's a perfect case study of everything we've learned today. It's by a British journalist called Victoria Lambert, and it's titled "We Need to Talk About Sex Education," and it's pretty standard hashtag content, you know. She's saying that the sex ed she got in school wasn't very good, it didn't teach her about consent, and parents should tell their kids about that. Pretty standard mainstream feminist stuff. And it's got some interviews with other white cisgender journalists who all agree. What caught my eye was two of those other interviews. One with a guy called Alex Denny, who said LGBT sex ed was completely absent from my all-boys school. And another with a guy called Jack Rear, who is himself a gay man, who also said he wasn't given any gay sex ed. And what nobody mentions is that until relatively recently, LGBT sex ed in Britain was illegal. In the UK, we used to have this thing called Section 28. It was a law that was passed by the Thatcher government in 1988, which made it illegal for any local authority to A. intentionally promote homosexuality or publish material with the intention of promoting homosexuality, and B. promote the teaching in any maintained school of the acceptability of homosexuality as a pretended family relationship. So, first things first, the text of the law is obviously explicitly homophobic. It contains the central claim of homophobia, which is that gay relationships are not as good as straight ones. Earlier on, we learned the concept of white ignorance, capital W, capital I. Similarly, we might talk about straight ignorance or cisgender ignorance, and those too can be built into the law. There were huge protests. A group called the Lesbian Avengers abseiled into the House of Lords to disrupt the session, and they invaded the BBC News studio during the live broadcast of the 6 o'clock news. But the bill passed, and this was the law until 2003. When David Cameron became Prime Minister, he apologised for Section 28, despite having been a big supporter of it. And to be fair, even if you like David Cameron, you've got to admit it's a bit rich to be taking lessons on sexual ethics from a man who f***ed a pig. The law itself was, in parliamentary language, f***ing dog shit. It was really vague and unclear, but it had strong effects because it made people scared, or it gave them an excuse to do what they wanted to do anyway. The idea was that you couldn't promote homosexuality to children, but in practice that meant that we weren't allowed to know about it at all. So LGBT books were taken off the shelves of local libraries. Some theatre companies were denied Arts Council funding if they were too gay. Some films weren't allowed to be shown in schools or in council venues. It had a big silencing effect that went way beyond what the actual text of the law required, even in private schools, and even after it was repealed. I remember when I was a kid and my school taught us about sex. They said, "Now then, boys, when you go to bed with a woman or a man, the penis is inserted into the vagina thusly. Now, go get 'em." And that was it. That was what we were told. And then 20 school kids were like, "How Thorn, she's talking about you, you f***ing gay." Like, that was it. Section 28 was supported by a lot of British newspapers, including the Telegraph. Section 28 is an example of what philosopher Miranda Fricker calls hermeneutical injustice. Hermeneutical means to do with interpreting. It comes from the ancient Greek word hermeneutikos, which translates into English as 3 of my previous girlfriends turned out to be lesbians and I still didn't realize I was trans. A hermeneutical injustice is when someone gets denied the knowledge they need to understand and take control of their life. And they are denied it because they are a member of a certain group. An example that Fricka gives is a conservative lady who experienced postnatal depression, but who'd never been told that that was a thing. That term wasn't always around. If you experienced anxiety or depression after having a child, people used to just say that you're a bad mother. And this lady describes the first time she heard that term used at a feminist workshop.
In that one 45-minute period, I realised that what I'd been blaming myself for, and what my husband had blamed me for, wasn't my personal deficiency. It was a combination of physiological things and a real societal thing.
Dang,
isolation.
Dude. Love my teammates in this
that
game.
realisation was one of those moments that makes you a feminist forever.
Something that might be worth noting is this woman describes that moment not as being taught that she's a victim or divisive woke grievance studies or anything like that. She describes it as liberating. Not divisive, but uniting. Section 28 didn't mention transgender people at all, but this was a time in which a lot of straight cis people were ignorant of the fact that being gay and being trans are 2 totally different
This guy's
things.
such a
So
ball
it put the
chaser.
kibosh on us
Rotate, you
as well.
idiot.
My school just did not tell me that being trans was a thing. I did not knowingly meet another trans person until I was already an adult. I remember the first time I did. I met this girl at my uni and I said, "Hey dude," and she said, "I'm
Thank
actually
God.
a woman. I'm a trans woman." And I said, "What's that?" And she told me and I was like, "How? That's fucking gay!" How might my life have been different if somebody had just told me when I was a kid? That's years of my life I've wasted in ignorance that I can never get back.
Well, this is for a lot of things too. Just anything that you're normal, that you're, the culture you grow up in doesn't allow you to learn. Like if you're poor, you don't understand what it means to be rich. If you're rich, you don't understand what it means to be poor. Stuff like that too. Like, one minor thing, that's pretty interesting, is where I'm at. The air conditioners that I use are in-window air conditioners. So like in the summer, we have to get these big heavy machines out and we have to put air conditioners into each of our windows. For the house to be cool. But people I know at school are from rich families. So they all have central cooling and central heat built into their homes. So like if you're from certain areas, if you're even in a apartment, you might have this. But like if you're from like if you're from a poor rural area, you're gonna have these air conditioners, and that's just something very minor that other people are just ignorant of. And there's a bunch of like other stuff built into that. But like, and like with, she's saying here she didn't know what being trans even was growing up, even to the point of having to learn about it in college when she met somebody who was trans, and then she's like, "Oh crap, I'm an adult now and I am trans." Like that's insane. And here there's a big issue if somebody comes out as gay, or anything, because there's so much religion around here. And it's the kind of religion where they don't actually go to church, but they use God as justification to not like gay people. So like a lot of, I know some people who are gay, but they can't tell their parents because, they'll get excommunicated from the church or whatever.
And you can go mad thinking about that sort of thing. I made it in the end. You got to play the hand you're dealt. But I didn't know, and I didn't know that I needed
Friends
to
Kitchens,
know.
yeah.
I was ignorant. Firstly, because that ignorance was deliberately built into the structure of the society I was born in. And secondly, for a while, I was too doxastically anxious to really sit down and think about it. And that is agnotology. And maybe that's why Socrates was the wisest man in Athens. Because he said, "I know that I know nothing."
Pretty cool video. Some hip music at the end there. Some hippity hop. Hippity hop, some cool hippity hop. You know, we love the hippity hops around here. What else should I put on? Kyle Kalinske or something? I am good people. I'm one person. How can I be good people? That's plural. I am Katie Porter. Woo! Look at that save. Into the shot and the miss. All right, let me switch this really quick. Let's see. Kyle Kalinske, maybe? Americans really want higher taxes on the rich. This was a cool story.
Tell me about you. I believe you have this story in front of you.
Yes.
So there's been this hullabaloo recently. I can't believe I just said that word. What am I, 89? There's been this poppycock lately of
golly gee.
You have Fox News and even CNN and some of the outlets are saying, "Oh my God, there's a labor shortage. Nobody wants to work anymore."
Right.
Michael Smirkanish asks, "Is the American work ethic dying?" And this is just a way of saying, like, "Man, you guys are lazy." Now the unemployment rate was 6%, and it went to 6.1%, and they're acting like 50% of the country was like, "I don't want to work anymore, and I'm gonna go lay on a beach and sip a mojito."
You know what the worst things in the world were? Freaking Great Value SpaghettiOs. I hated those so much. Regular SpaghettiOs were so good, but then the Great Value ones, oh my God, they were nauseating. And nobody ever believed me how bad they were. They were so bad. The Great Value cereal and all that stuff. Oh crap. Okay. Right there. Why can't I turn this video on? There you go.
But anyway, one of the things I said in response to that is, I guarantee you, if you raise wages, people will go back to work.
Yes.
And tell me about the $15 minimum wage story.
Indeed. Well, there was an ice cream parlor, and MSNBC actually highlighted this, so I'll give them a tiny shred of credit here. There was an ice cream parlor in Pittsburgh, local small business, raised their wage to $15 an hour, and they got over 1,000 applicants. The owner actually said he stopped counting at 1,000 applications in 1 week. And this is important not just because it proves the very obvious point that, like, oh, if you want people to work for you, give them a situation that makes it worth their time, number one. Like, it proves that very obvious point. But also disproves one of the other narratives, at least in part, that, like, and Stephanie Rule, who did the segment, pointed this out, like, the ice cream shop is the stereotypical thing that conservatives will throw at you of, like, the local ice cream shop. There's no way they're going to be able to pay $15 an hour. And so this owner is like, no, actually, we can pay $15 an hour. We will pay $15 an hour. And because of that, we have this, tremendous pool of workers to pull from. And by the way, as I mentioned, this is in Pittsburgh, a city that I know somewhat about because I used to live nearby. Pittsburgh was like the closest large city to where I lived in Ohio. And it's not a high cost of living place. So this isn't equivalent to like New York City.
Compared to where, though? Houses I know I live in a really cheap place to live relatively, like, when it comes to housing prices, but like Pittsburgh, houses are pretty expensive in Pittsburgh. I know it's not New York City, but you're literally comparing it to the most expensive places on the, in America. Pittsburgh is still a lot of money it still costs a lot of money to live there. But
wages being at $15 an hour, this is a medium to small size city with a very reasonable cost of living, where this local small business feels like they can make it work.
I'm playing the Rockets right now.
So let me ask you.
Are you streaming right now, Hans?
725 to 15, or was it like 10 to 15? Do we know?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so it didn't mention it in the story.
Yeah, didn't mention exactly what the jump was.
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000 applicants in 1 week.
Sounds like the American work ethic is dying.
Well, and this is also like, again, actually a story of narrative setting. CEOs and the top really quarter of American society did phenomenally well last year. Nobody worries about that. But suddenly it's like, maybe these $300 unemployment benefits are too generous and people are getting lazy. It's destroying the American work ethic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the emphasis is always on how can we make life as brutal as possible to force people
Threaten them with poverty,
to
right?
have to work for $7.25 an hour versus like it's all
What are you
shtick.
doing?
It's never like, hey, what if we actually made it so that people get health care and have good wages and have a union available to like, what if we made working in America less of a hellish situation so that people would be more compelled to go
stop
back
ball
into the
chasing?
workforce?
Why are all my
And the
teammates
other thing
tonight
that I'll
so
say about
bad?
this, which I think
Holy
is really
crap.
significant, and I've been tracking, I know you have been as well, how there is a little bit of a rethink of the relationship between employment and our jobs
Now I
and
have
our
no boost.
identity and, happening throughout the country at every class level. Some of the people that you're talking about here, I mean, these are the people who were held up as like, oh, our essential workers, we love them so much. But then it was like, get back out there, risk your fucking life for $7.25 an hour. We're not giving you a pay raise. We're not doing the things that it would take to keep you safe from COVID. We'll just give you some meaningless pats on the head.
One of the biggest pieces of propaganda of all time, I don't know if anybody ever heard this before, but calling certain jobs, oh, these are just summer jobs. Oh, these are just jobs for like teenagers. These are just jobs for like high school kids. Literally, that's such big freaking propaganda for these companies so they could pay people nothing. Oh, this is just a job for kids. You're not supposed to make that much. So now like billion-dollar amusement parks cannot pay their their workers, although they're giving them a lot of production. It's awesome, right? Just a summer job.
And expect you to get right back out there. And so the fact that you have a significant chunk of the population, like, I don't know if I want to go back to work in that frontline position, frontline, low-wage, high-risk position that I was at before. Maybe I'm going to adjust. Maybe I'm going to look for employment in a different sector. Like, that makes all the sense in the world, honestly.
So the response to this has been
Good hit.
infuriating. So I watched a number of segments. I covered a bunch of them on Secular Talk. There were Fox News segments all day, every day, basically
Good hit.
saying like, you're paying people too much money between the stimulus checks and the child tax credit and the unemployment insurance. You're paying people too much. This is not okay. And now 21 states, Republican governors have said the $300 extra state unemployment, gone. They got rid of it.
Right.
And so there's been so many segments where the position that they think is the position is like, obviously cut the benefits.
I hate my
and
teammates
force
so
them
much.
out there
How are
back
all
into
my
shitty,
teammates
low-wage
so
jobs that
bad?
they don't want to be at.
Right.
This entire
That's the
night. How do I
position
keep
in
getting
corporate
bad
media. Like, if you
teammates?
dissent from that, they think you're fucking crazy.
Holy crap,
Meanwhile,
dude.
I'm going to go a step further. So it's to me, it's not just about, hey, the narrative that they're pushing out there isn't really true. Because it's not. If unemployment was 6% and then it went to 6.1%, and the narrative's, nobody wants to work. No,
Right.
it would have to go from like 6% to fucking 30% if you want to have some sort of argument, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's true. But even if it were true, I'm okay with it.
Yes.
And here's why. What you're doing is if you give a sufficient amount in benefits, whether it's a stimulus check or whatever, let's say a UBI check, you're giving people freedom for the first time in their lives to think for a month or two, hey, what do I actually want to do with my life? What will give me meaning? What will give me joy? What will give me fulfillment? What do I actually want to do with my limited time on this planet? And so people stopping, thinking, reevaluating, and trying to make better life decisions is a wonderful thing. And the Republican position, without a doubt, is no, force them back into shitty, low-paying jobs. And I don't want to fucking hear another word of complaining about it. And you know what? This really gets back to something that Noam Chomsky has said a million times and other leftists have said a million times, which is it really looks like wage labor is not that different from chattel slavery. You have to, instead of being owned as a person, you're renting your labor on the marketplace. And is there really that much of a difference between, say, owning a car or renting a car?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, what you're talking about is a concept of meaningful freedom.
Yes,
Not just
yes.
like the bullshit word, like, you're free in America. Well, actually what you're trying to do on the Republican side is strip away people's freedom to make a meaningful choice about how they want to spend their time and how they want to invest their identity and their hours. And it's wildly inconsistent with some other things that conservatives claim to believe, right? Like another thing that they claim to believe is that parents, and especially women, should have the ability, if they want, to be able to stay home and raise their kids. So they'll say that, and then they'll do nothing to make that choice a meaningful reality to anyone, and in fact, make it virtually impossible. They're the first to add in the work requirements to any sort of benefit that's going to come from the state. They're the first, of course, to strip any kind of unemployment benefits, making it very, very difficult for women to be able, or men, to meaningfully make a choice
Just
about
nobody knows how
whether
to play
they
the
would
game.
like to
They just
be
don't know how to play.
home more and
They're
spend
ball
more
chasing.
time
You
raising
literally-
their kids, or be forced into this like low wage hell that is the reality for most Americans. So I think it's wildly inconsistent. I mean, not that conservatives have ever like really cared about being consistent in their philosophy, but those two things can't really coexist. And I just think all of the conversation around this is wildly disconnected and disingenuous with some other values that they claim to support.
That's a great point. And also, there's examples of that inconsistency that are even more direct. Like, for example, when Trump was saying we want $2,000 stimulus checks, what was it, like 40 or 50 House Republicans were like, yes, and they signed on to it. And then now Biden did the 1,400, which is less than the 2,000, right? But 1,400 plus 600 equals the 2,000. So he was closer to the range of what Trump wanted. And he does it, and now all of a sudden, all the fake populists on the right, like Josh Hawley, are like, oh my, you can't, what are you paying people so much money for? You were for the $2,000 check.
Not only was he for it, he was leading the charge.
That's right.
Remember, he and Bernie Sanders got together and were demanding $2,000 checks under Trump. And then the minute Biden comes in and passes anything, then suddenly it's like, oh, you're being too generous and people are getting lazy and it's destroying the country.
What a hollow existence it is to be that much of a partisan hack where you really don't believe anything. Nothing.
Josh.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what
You're
are
an
you doing?
expert.
Really, the whole reason you're in politics is
you're
to get your
vaxxed up,
fucking
huh?
fat
That's good.
narcissistic face in front of the camera to be like, aren't I so wonderful because I'm me?
Keyboard, get a keyboard.
Nobody gives a fuck about you. Who gives a? Why should anybody give a fuck about you? Stand for something. Believe in something.
Well,
and be consistent.
And by the way, if you actually dig into the numbers of who is staying home and who is dropping out of the labor force entirely, it is mostly women, because they're screwed over with childcare. I mean, the fact, and this is the one part that conservatives will talk about, the fact that schools have been shut down has forced people to turn their lives upside down. And so it's not as easy as just flipping a switch and getting right back into where you were, because you've had to turn your life upside down to essentially homeschool your kids for the year. Childcare centers have shut down. It takes a lot of money, something that Democrats actually do want to address, to be able to get your kids back into childcare.
Let's do free childcare.
And so, you know,
I'm so
again,
bad.
it makes
I'm
no
bad.
sense from the Republican perspective.
Next video, play now. Go, 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 go. Start. YouTube. Do it. Do the thing. There you go.
Sagar, what's on your radar today? Well, Colin, Crystal's out today, so of course it's
Sagar.
time for as many UFO segments as I can fit into a show. I'm just kidding, of course.
Let's go.
I was inspired to do this segment because I really do believe that this week is a turning point in the discussion of my very favorite topic.
UFOs.
60 Minutes produced a bombshell special on UFOs featuring interviews with Commander David Fravor, his wingman, many others who testified to extraordinary observations of unexplainable vehicles observed in flight. Now, the only downside I find in discussing UFOs is that there seems to be an intense animosity within the community amongst different personalities, amongst debunkers, and
What
many
are you
more
doing?
that detract
Why
from
did
a
you
very
come
simple
up?
fact. I believe that Lou Elizondo, who was in charge of the DoD's program investigating UFOs, put it best on 60 Minutes.
Imagine a technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces.
I've never gotten this many bad teammates in a row in Rocket League. I need a teammate that is fundamentals. I'm not into all the flashy stuff. I wasn't paying attention.
Imagine a technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces, that can fly at 13,000 miles an hour, that it can evade radar, and that can fly through air and water and possibly space. And oh, by the way, has no obvious signs of propulsion, no wings, no control surfaces, and yet still can defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity. That's precisely what we're seeing.
There's something that's been observed by both humans and by our technology, capable of flying in a manner unknown to human science. That's about as extraordinary as it gets. To me, the only question is, what is it? But increasingly, I have observed a backlash to what I'll call the mainstreaming of UFOs. Why now? Why is the Pentagon coming forward? Is this some sort of psyop? Isn't this all just a ploy to raise money for the Space Force? I understand that impulse, given that our government has already lied us into war on faulty intelligence. But it's important to really interrogate that assumption, because I believe right now, resistance to the idea of UFOs remains on mistrust of the institution, which is in possession of the wide body of evidence surrounding what could be one of the greatest mysteries of our civilization. First, I'll state that it is absolutely not impossible this is an all elaborate psyop for more military funding, but that I believe it's extraordinarily unlikely. Gideon Lewis Krauss of The New Yorker, he recently wrote this story titled How the Pentagon Started Taking UFOs Seriously. Now, we had him on the show, and I consider it to be the definitive...
Yes, I've gotten vaccinated. I hope the U.S. sends vaccines around. None of the idiots here want them, so...
first draft of history as to how exactly those within the five-sided building came to reckon with what was being seen as an by airmen of all time during the flight. Now, the history of Project Blue Book and early Pentagon attempts to cover up UFOs are well known. And if you don't know, I encourage you to go read about it. But the modern history of disclosure is very important to understand. It begins in 2007, when then Senator Harry Reid of Nevada had a discussion with Robert Bigelow of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, Reid, who has long been fascinated by UFOs and critically had just become the Senate Majority Leader, called up Senator Ted Stevens. Stevens, who was a senator from Alaska, shared a fascination of UFOs with Reid because he was a pilot in the Second World War and he had reported a UFO encounter. It stayed with him for the rest of his life. Now, Stevens and Reid corralled Hawaii Senator Daniel Inouye. Together, they placed a secret $22 million appropriation in a 2008 supplemental appropriations bill to investigate the phenomenon. The Pentagon pushed back hard. They didn't want any of this. Reid basically pulled rank and said, I'm the most powerful person in the Senate, so you're just going to do it. So from that point forward, the advance...
My favorite thing about the UFOs is literally every single time a UFO is found, like every single time a UFO is seen, it's either like somebody tripping on some type of drug, it's something very normal, it might be just like a shadow somebody sees, and most of the time, it's like some type of hidden military technology that they don't want people to know about yet. So like the first ever UFO was actually a stealth bomber, or like some type of like stealth aircraft or whatever. But like once a civilian reported seeing an unidentified flying object, the military just put it into the UFO category or whatever, so people wouldn't keep asking questions about it, stuff like that.
Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, or ATIP, was born, which began studying Robert Bigelow's Skinwalker Ranch and all sorts of crazy stuff, like goblins and dog-like creatures. But, critically, it also hired Lou Elizondo, who you heard from earlier, in 2010. Now, Elizondo had no opinion...
All right. What else is there? What else can there be? Yo, get Destiny to debate me real quick, is you?
Comparison, sexuality, and
oh shit. What is this? What is Vaush talking about right here?
We all like Shakespeare, right? Iambic pentameter, very cool. Great. You know who else does? This guy. Cheney's primary challenger said he impregnated a 14-year-old when he was 18. She was a little younger than me, So it's like the Romeo and Juliet story. See, there's the
Oh,
big parallel.
no.
State Senator Anthony Boucard.
No.
I assume
Romeo and Juliet. No.
said of the girl he later married and divorced. Now, this story gets wild. I need you people to stick with me, okay? As if it didn't start wild. I say gets wild like it wasn't already there, you know. A state senator in Wyoming who's running against U.S. Representative Liz Cheney and 4 others in a Republican primary acknowledged he impregnated a 14-year-old girl when he was 18, vowing not to end his campaign for Congress. That's right. This isn't demoralizing him at all. He's continuing straight forward, okay?
Respect.
It was a disclosure he said he was forced to make because of the establishment swamp. So that's what Republicans mean when they say drain the swamp. They mean drain the apparatuses that hold people to account for impregnating minors.
The swamp is after me, guys. That's what Matt Gaetz said.
Everyone has something in their life they
It's
did.
the
We've all had
elites.
these problems. Why is this a big deal? It is incredible to me how hard these people tell on themselves. It's not just like, I did a terrible thing and I'm going to shuffle away out of the public eye. It's like, yeah, dude, she was already like 14, bro. For me, a Republican culturally, this is well past. We are well past the prime age for. Hey, by the way, not just impregnating, but marriage. Hold on. Was that included in the story? The original article that I looked at. Yeah. After he got the girl pregnant, there was a lot of pressure for her to get an abortion. I wasn't going to do it, neither was she. The only right thing to do was get married and take care of them. The mother of the girl, whose name was withheld, signed the papers consenting to the judge, and the pair went down and got married before a judge. Yep, 18-year-old. Oh, sorry, he was 19, and she was 15 when they married. This is what, by the way, this is what Republican state senators fight to defend, allowing children to be married to adults.
Do I like Vaush? Yeah,
Oh,
I
and
like
I just
Vaush.
want to say, by the way, because I know there are 15-year-olds watching, okay? You are an infant compared to a 19-year-old. Do not even fucking start with me, okay? The difference between a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old is astronomical. It is socially, brain development.
true.
It's just an unfathomable gap, okay? All right? You are a zygote. Do not even. My son got to experience things and
What
live
is my
life.
teammate
Sadly, He's
doing?
made some wrong choices in his life. He's almost become my estranged son. Some of the things that he's got going on in his life, I certainly don't.
Oh no, I
approve of
said it
them,
like
and I'm not
Vaush
going
out
to go
loud.
hand at him.
Does that mean I get canceled?
You know, if I was running for if I was running for Congress and my mom, whose name has been withheld, went up to a mic and was like, "Yeah, my son's made some mistakes, bad stuff, you know, nearly became my estranged son, you know, real bad stuff, but he's my son, I love him." I would not want my mom next to that microphone. Seems like Discord moderator Anthony over here should maybe have the less said about his past, the better for his work. The marriage to the boy's mom lasted about 3 years. He said in the Facebook video that he and his ex-wife became friends. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Did I skip something?
Is my teammate purposely scoring? I feel like he is.
The marriage
dude.
to the boy's mom? Wait, am I missing something here? Oh, the boy being the kid. The boy being the kid. Okay, sorry. I thought by boy they meant Anthony Boucard back when he was 19, and I was wondering if there was some insane, like, extra level to this. Holy shit. Oh, okay. Anyway. He said in his Facebook video that he and his ex-wife became friends after the split, and the ex, quote, who had problem in another relationship and a family history of suicide, died by suicide. So this guy impregnated a 14-year-old, married her when she was 15, they divorced, and later she killed herself. So anyway, his response to these allegations. Can't we let these people rest in peace, Boucard said, adding his opponents, wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't the front runner. If this is the best you've got, bring it on. And I gotta say, you know, this guy, real go-getter attitude right here. Oh yeah? Yeah? Yeah, impregnated a child, married her, and she later broke up and
My
killed
teammates
herself.
have to be
Mom
trying to
nearly
make me
estranged
lose today.
This is the best you've got. This is nothing compared to what I've done. This is just a scum on the surface of a lake that you can't even begin to fathom the depths of. This guy has got some skeletons in his closet. This guy's got entire fucking burial mounds in his closet. Okay. Anyway, truly spectacular shit. His spokesman, Jeremy Adler, told the paper the Cheney campaign had no involvement in this at all. I like how this shit is so odious that even his opposition candidate their like campaign is putting their hands up in the air and going like, no, we're not. We have nothing to do with this. We're just completely no. We're just we're over here and he's over there and we're doing very, very, very separate things. Anyway, it gets even better. Okay. So it gets even
$19 Fortnite card.
Get
Who
ready
wants
for a
it?
Twitter take. What Picard did was wrong. But what Picard and the baby's mother did in choosing not to abort, especially given the circumstances, will earn them both a special smile from the Almighty. He's the kind of man I want to see in Congress. So you can rape a child and impregnate her, but as long as the rape, the statutory rape baby isn't aborted, God's happy, Brent Bozell's happy. Okay, we're all good in the eyes of the Lord. This is Republicans, by the way. By the way, Brent Bozell, you're wondering, who is this guy? Some random nobody? No, actually. Brent Bozell III is an American conservative writer and activist who founded the Media Research Center, the Parents Television Council, and CNS News. He was president of the Parents Television Council from 1995 to 2006. He also serves on the board for the Catholic League for for Religious and Civil Rights, and has served on the board of directors for the American Conservative Union. He writes frequently and is published Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Washington Times, New York Post, Los Angeles Times, and National Review. So this guy is a pillar of conservative values. But you know, it's I want to be really clear to you guys, okay? Republicans do not care about children being raped. I just don't know how else to say it. I really genuinely don't know how else to say it. They just don't fucking care. And the reason for that is
That's just not good. You have to really differentiate this stuff. Like, you should be saying Republican, I don't know, slimy Republican politicians, or like Republican politicians don't care. Because when you just say like Republicans don't care about this, you're kind of alienating anybody who ever considered themselves a Republican, and also anybody who considers a Republican friend a good person. You know, you're alienating them too. So although I might say something like this, like, oh my God, Republicans are so dumb for not getting the vaccine or whatever, I don't know. It is too generalized.
is because a core tenet of conservatism is rejecting the concept of consent, okay? Women have to exist to serve men's desires. So, naturally, anything you do to them that's in line with men's desires fits within the conservative worldview. It is consistently conservatives who do this. QAnon has taken attention away from actual anti-child sex trafficking efforts. I made a video on that in the past that you should all take a look at. They don't want kids to have sex education, which means they can't identify when they're being abused. Their state senators want to make sure it's still legal to marry adult men to underage girls. Republicans consistently defend that premise. They don't care that Trump was a known child rapist with multiple credible accusations levied against him. They
True.
didn't care about Moore. They don't care about any of. They're still defending Matt Gaetz. They don't care. They don't care. They fundamentally. A vote for a Republican is a vote for child rape. There's no getting around it, okay? There's no nuance to this. There's not some...
What a slogan.
This isn't some, like, edge case backwoods issue. They, every time, fall in line behind this. The only reason they ditched Milo Yiannopoulos after he came out in favor of child rape is because Milo
does he mean
Yiannopoulos
they?
is gay. That's the only reason why. It's okay to rape
All right,
children.
this is the big difference here. So, okay, so Vaush isn't talking about real life here. He's talking about online. When he brings up Milo as an example, he's talking about online Republicans. So yeah, sure, online Republicans, like, I mean, they just don't care about it. Although that guy's running for state senate, he's bringing up internet examples. That's why it's so hard for me to like listen to certain streamers and everything, because you really can't find somebody who is big. You can't find somebody who's big and is actually really connected to the real world. I just can't. It's something. It's something about the scene that just makes you. I don't know. How can you truly consider the practical implications of stuff like rhetoric or like any of this if you are only seeing it through the scope of like your Twitter conflicts? I just don't know.
As long as the rapist is a man and the child is a woman, but if both of them are boys, then it's some degenerate shit they have to distance themselves from. And even then, conservative orgs are already starting to rehabilitate Milo Yiannopoulos because they didn't really care. They don't really actually care. Child is a girl. Anyway, yeah, just absolutely despicable shit. I mean, look at this. This guy, his articles get published. Well, all's right in the eyes of the Lord. You know, so long as that child rape baby ain't aborted. Fucking lunatics. Jesus Christ.
Like, how do you really show how
He was in
bad
controversy.
this stuff is without
Bazell's
being
been accused of making racially
too
insensitive statements.
inflammatory?
Damn, that's who could have guessed?
Without turning too many people
Anytime
off
you
from
look
your
at
message.
a conservative media figure, their controversy section is going to be about as long as any other.
Like Matt Gaetz is a good example. Trump is a good example.
2011, he appeared on Fox News.
They just
and
don't
asked how
care about
media would
sexual
react
assault when
if
it comes to
somebody said
them.
that President Barack Obama looked like a skinny ghetto crackhead. Curious. Really makes you wonder. Bazell was an outspoken critic of Donald Trump during the 2016 Republican primaries, describing him as the greatest charlatan of all. I get it. Bazell and Donald Trump are
this
competing
guy
for
up here.
children to rape, you see. It's they're both alpha males in the environment. So they have to fight with one another to secure dominance.
I hate people that camp.
A huckster and a shameless self-promoter, he said, God help this country if this man were president. After Trump clinched the Republican nomination, Bazell attacked the media for their hatred of Trump. Every time. No principles. It's just about power. It's just about power. That's the reason why you've seen so few defectors from the Republican Party in spite of how lunatic fucking mad, how insane they've gone. It's because they don't actually have values.
Like, it
I've said
doesn't matter
before
what's
and I'll
right.
say
You
it
have to
again.
say what's
When
right.
you're a conservative, you don't actually have a set of beliefs. There are no actual underlying values, okay? What you have are general ideas of in-groups and out-groups, and you adopt beliefs which are convenient to you at any given point in time and allow you to direct whatever power you hold against an out-group. It's that simple. That's it. That's genuinely it. There's nothing else. Absolutely empty. And they think that's the way you are, too.
Good night, Hans. Have a good one.
You ever
Hope
notice
feel
how
better.
really selfish people think everyone else is selfish too? They're just like living it. A lot of people do this. Racists will do this. They'll say, oh yeah, we're all racist. I'm just the only one not cucked enough to actually say it. They always do this. That's how they feel too. People like Tucker Carlson, they know they don't have any actual values. They think that's how you think too. You have your in-groups and your out-groups. He has his in-groups and his out-groups. And he believes that we all just lie to defend whatever groups we want to protect at any given point in time. That's what conservatives do. Some of them are smart enough to know that's what they do. But that is all the same what they do. That is the default state of humans. No actual beliefs, just a cataclysmic maelstrom of positions that you'll adopt and abandon at will to promote a belief. I see this all the time, too. When I look at conservatives talk about me, the projection is insane. That's how they talk about me, too, all the time. That even though my positions have been exceedingly consistent for the whole 8 or 9 years I've been present online now, that I don't really believe this. It's just, I like making money from you guys. And, well, I just have a preference for some groups over others. And I just adopt whatever positions I need to defend that. They tell on themselves all the time. The self-reporting is insane. Yes, they are sussy bakas. It's true. Lamau, that Brent Bazell guy's son was one of the Capitol rioters. Nice. Unsurprising to me. Yes, in August 2020, Bazell told a meeting of conservatives and donors that leftists plan to steal the election. Keep in mind, Bazell wants to make sure that the Washington swamp is drained, by which he means, to him, the swamp is the apparatuses that would tell on him raping children. You all get it, don't you? I just wanted to be made clear that there's a categorical difference between the way we formulate our beliefs and the way they formulate their beliefs. It's the reason why I've always been a strong advocate for the idea that power is what convinces them more than anything else. You can't just tell them what's right. They don't believe you. Have you seen me talk
I'm
with
bad
these
at this.
fucking
I'm just
people? You can
bad.
throw a million studies at them. They don't change.
I'm just bad. Don't look at
What
this.
you have to do is you have
Don't
to
watch.
show them, and this sounds really cringy, but, well, I'm sure there are people in chat right now who recognize this worked on them. You have to show them that their heroes are weak, that you're strong. You're a big man now. You know, you have to win, dominate. And then after you've done this little show of strength and power, through being mean in debates, whatever. It's a weak power.
Well, it's like the football effect in high school. Like all the people that play football, you know, prove you're tough, prove you're tough. Like literally proving you're tough in high school is like banging your head against a wall. Like those are the people who like assume that they're tough, are the people that'll do like stupid stuff. People that'll get like really drunk and like get themselves really hurt. Those are the tough people. So like these displays that make Republicans or like conservative leaning people think you're an alpha. That translates to politics. They liked Trump because he was so reckless and he didn't care what people thought and he was so like offensive and all that stuff. He owned all the libs. He was a contrarian. Like that stuff plays out. Like this is all like high school psychology, and this is how people act their entire lives in politics. After that, they use the same exact mentality.
But it's power. After you have that, then you have their ear, and then
Yeah,
you can give them
they like
information to change
authority.
their minds. Does anyone here feel this worked on them? Like they used to be in the right and now they're here, you know? It wasn't just being presented new info. It was being given like that kick. Like, this is this before these people were weak. But now this person, he's got the big memes.
He's got the memes. It's whoever got the memes. Conservatives lie about Palestinian children.
So as some of you may know, I recently did a little bit of a fundraiser. It was a good time. Some people are steaming mad, you know? Real mad. Let's take a look. From the nationally acclaimed National Telegraph, very wonderful news outlet here. They always use this picture of me. Naive left-wing streamer indirectly fundraised $286,069 for Hamas. Written by John Holm. No doubt a very
Hamas.
upstanding pillar of media.
Vaush, you did it. You funded Hamas. Good job.
Vaush, a self-described anti-fascist YouTube and Twitch streamer, held a live stream on May 17th to raise funds for a charity operating in Gaza. That's true. He announced on Twitter the next day that after 27 hours of live streaming, they rounded up. It was 26 and a half, actually. His channel managed to raise a number which isn't the same as the number they list in the title. It seems like a little confusing. I know the PayPal fees cut in, but I don't know why they would list two different numbers. Vaush, during the stream, spoke with the org's founder and is confident in the value of his work. Damn, they're plagiarizing me. Since the end of the live stream, it has been re-uploaded in shorter segments. Oh, that's nice. They actually edited this. The original version of this article
That
just
is true,
says
Jamie.
at the end of the live stream, it has been unlisted. They didn't say that it has been re-uploaded in shorter segments. The original one said it had been unlisted, which A, I do to every stream, B, is
FBI
accessible
would arrest
in
him.
a listed playlist, and C, the whole thing was on Twitch anyway. Then we have this wonderful photo of me. The money went to the... Excuse me, God. I'm just choking up over here with how sincere this this condemnation's about to be. The money went to the charity, the Palestine... it's Palestine at Children's Relief Fund, not Palestinian. In Gaza, an organization that describes itself as creating, quote, centers for healthcare for children with cancer. Built in the... That's not all they do? Built in the territory of Gaza, currently governed by the internationally known and Iranian-backed terrorist organization, Hamas. This means even if every single cent raised was used indeed to fund healthcare for children, because Hamas governs the territory, they can then redirect the money they would have used for healthcare into more rockets and pay-for-slay programs. There we go, people. Indirectly fundraised for Hamas. The evidence we have, well, they're in Gaza, and Hamas is in Gaza, and, like, you know, I don't know, they'd like take it or something. The issue with sending money to any territory currently held by an enemy state is that all the provided funds contribute to prolonging their rule, whether directly or indirectly. Well, hold on now. Wait, doesn't that mean that if you're a conservative and you hate the government, that if you like pay out NRA like membership dues, that you're paying to the government? What? Wait, first of all, Hamas isn't a state. Second of all, wouldn't this argument be anytime any money changes hands within America, you're giving Biden money? Like, don't they call Biden like an enemy?
I'm
right?
sorry, I'm just
if
done. I'm
Biden's the head of
Yep,
state
that's
here
it.
in
That was
America,
bad.
like, oh, sure, you donated money to your local like libertarian.
I'm usually
like,
good at video games. I guarantee it. I am a pro gamer. Not tonight. What? I have to go. I have to leave now. Good night. Thanks for hanging out here. I can't do it. I can't do it. Here.
Wait, first of all, Hamas isn't.
Here's the Vaush video. Everybody have a good night. Probably gonna stream again on like probably Tuesday or Wednesday night. Tuesday or Wednesday night. All right, everybody have a good one. Yeah, they blame administrators, not owners. Oh, surfer dude. And Prim. See y'all another time.